All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another show. Again, I hope everybody's having a nice Friday, the start of the Sabbath for everybody. We're all trying to do our best as far as following what God's rules, laws, commandments are to live a fulfilled life. And yeah, the Sabbath, from my understanding, still starts, at sundown on Friday and goes till sundown Saturday. That's a good discussion we could probably have one of these days about, the Lord's Day being Sunday and, whether or not we want to. Hi, Diane, how are you? Whether we want to, dedicate Saturday or Sunday as the modern day Sabbath. It's a pretty interesting topic that we'd have to get into one of these days. But, I do try my best to do what I can as far as, practicing the Sabbath on, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. So, hi, Pam, how are you? So, I try to not buy anything, just the basics. I'm not making the bread and everything like some of the Hasidic Jews will be doing for every Sabbath. I've seen in that one documentary that I watched them doing. Excuse me for a second, but I've seen them doing all sorts of stuff. On the Sabbaths, cooking bread and dancing and just a real like almost like Thanksgiving every week. And you kind of are envious from people that don't practice it in that manner. You kind of get really interested in the concept of actually doing that for the Sabbath. So maybe one day we'll watch that clip on that video. It's from that Peter guy who went to the Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn, and they really go all out for every Sabbath. So that's probably a goal for all of us. It'd be great to get all of our families together and celebrate, basically mini Thanksgivings every Sabbath, and also just to honor God because, God said, keep them holy, as a bond between us. So, the direction we'll go tonight, because we didn't really get into it last night because Rabbi Lewis and, I don't know about what we should do modern days, Pam. I agree. I agree. I don't know if it's Sunday, Saturday anymore. Should it be Sunday? Should it be Saturday? It's a good discussion. I've seen James White, the Christian apologist guy content creator on YouTube. I guess he's a priest too because I've seen him wearing that before. I've seen him have a debate with somebody one time. Yeah, I'm confused too on should it be Sunday, should it be Saturday, the Lord's Day. But I think we're all confused, just Christians and Jews in general, since the Messiah, Jesus Christ, is Jewish. Yet we created a totally different religion from Judaism when he came because half the people that were Jewish, didn't want to believe in him as the Messiah. But if anybody wants to hit the link, come on. We could talk about whatever you guys want. Hi, Tracy. Good evening. God bless everybody that's coming in. I don't want to get right into the presentation. I want to give it about 5 minutes before I get into the judges topic. Hey, Jessica. So that's why I'm just kind of killing time here for the moment. If any of you guys, Jessica, Diane, Tracy, Pam, if you guys want to hit the link, feel free. One of these days, I'll try to have my friend from college with me to do the women presentation because, again, I have, the New Testament women updated, and I just made the presentation a little better in all aspects, just as far as what are scriptures. I put them in different colors and stuff like that. So if none of you guys or ladies want to help do it, because I understand some of you guys prefer being in the audience, which is totally cool. I respect that too, because sometimes you just want to watch something, you don't want to have to work. I'm sure you guys work hard enough as is, so you don't have to contribute. And Jesse and Rabbi Lewis and J-Man and David and everybody else are always willing to, jump on anyways. But yeah, I want to have another woman speak of Rabbi Lewis right here. What's going on, Rabbi Lewis?
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah, I was just saying that to start the show here. I was going to say I kind of have today and Saturday sundown being the Sabbath still too, but it is interesting that Sunday, the Lord's Day for a lot of Christians, it's kind of replaced the Sabbath, like the Saturday Sabbath or the Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. But I still look at Friday sundown to Saturday sundown to Sabbath, so I do that myself. But how you doing?
Blessed by the best.
Yeah, yeah. I got to
Black Jesus minister, right?
yeah. I know
He
him.
challenged me to a debate. We're going to be doing it Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Clubhouse.
Oh, he's gonna destroy you.
We're debating Quran or the Bible, which is more reliable.
Oh wait, what do you got a chance in that one? I'm sorry. I should have asked the topic.
Yeah, it's all good.
I should have asked the topic before I asked the debate. He said he was gonna
Yeah,
destroy you.
it's all good in the hood. But yeah, so we getting
So
it.
what are you debating? Which is better, the Quran or the Bible?
Yeah, this Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard on Clubhouse. So tune in.
Well, I'm not into the clubhouse
Okay.
but yeah, that's cool. I mean, you kind of I kind of said the right thing already because you're defending the wrong book. No offense, but yeah, the Bible is the true book. So you got uphill battle as usual trying to defend the Quran versus the Bible. But I mean, that at least gives you a shot. Where did you run into him on Clubhouse? You guys were talking, and then you just set it up.
No, I got his personal number. He called me about 8 o'clock this morning to set it up. So
I like Black Jesus Minister. The only thing he's got to work on, as far as what I see, is he still calls people names and swears too much, or just calling people names. It's like we all want to call somebody an idiot sometimes, or just whatever name. But yeah, he's got great information, but he's definitely weak when it comes to that. He'll break down and just kind of insult somebody.
he called me out to debate. I didn't call him. He called me out. So look
Yeah.
forward to that. Be sure to tune in, guys.
Yeah. I'm sure the people listening might have Clubhouse and be interested, or whoever watches the video. What room? How are they going to find you? How do they know where to go?
Oh, certainly. Black Jesus Minister on Clubhouse. He's the host.
He's got his own room, so you just
Yeah,
type Black Jesus
yeah.
Minister.
Seven Black Jesus Minister.com.
All right. All right. Well, I wanted to give it a couple minutes to see if other people came in, and if you guys wanted to talk about other things, that's totally fine with me. But if not, I just wanted to make sure I had information,
Yeah, I
and
was
that's
wondering because last
sure.
time we left off at Jesse was saying that Yeshua Mashiach went to the northern tribes in Zebulon and Naphtali, right? I don't know if he ever proved that they were living there at the time.
Well, I mean, you didn't prove that they weren't Jews, so I mean, it's kind of just he said, she said, in my opinion, because it just
No,
says he.
I had to fall off. So I don't know if he proved that. Did he actually prove it when I got off the show? Because I don't know.
I mean, it's just I think it's an assumption. Like if it says he went to Judah, I don't think it has to explicitly say every time that there was Israelites in Judah. I think people just kind of assume that. So
Right.
that's the way
Well,
I take it.
if I can respond to that, brother.
Yeah.
So, Deuteronomy 28:68, as you know, is a famous. I just wrote a book on it. A research paper I typed up on Amazon. It's up on Amazon. It's called Deuteronomy 28:68, 70 AD or Transatlantic End Times by myself, right? Hello?
Wait, you wrote a book on chapter 28, verse 68?
Yeah. It's a research paper I put in ebook format. I published it yesterday. It's up on
Why
Amazon.
why would you don't tell you tried to write a book and say that verse is about slavery?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a research paper I put in ebook format, yes.
Well, you must have did no research on it because that verse has nothing to do with slavery.
Well,
I mean transatlantic slavery.
I would disagree. I would totally disagree. But
Really?
so
Really?
Yeah,
How would that have anything to do with transatlantic slavery?
right. You got to get the book for that, bro. But
Oh no, I wanna be interested enough to buy the book. Tell me briefly why that verse would have to do, because isn't transatlantic slavery where people were buying and selling slaves?
right, so the first slave from the slave trade actually was a free man. He was free. So when they say, "Well, no man shall buy you," it's literal. The
Hmm.
first slave from the slave transaction was a free man. No man bought. He sold himself, but no man bought him. Literally. Furthermore, when the transaction slave trade started, there were no slave laws at the time. They didn't have any laws for slavery at the time in America, which is a little known fact. So, but the burden of proof, right? If I could say one thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I mean, I could definitely go in on this verse, not being about the transatlantic slave trade.
Well, I
So,
disagree. Check the book out. In fact, I don't want. I don't mean
yeah,
it.
hi, Lynn. How are you? God bless. Go ahead. I'll continue. I'll rebuttal once you're done speaking here.
Can we
Just
put up on the screen if people want to get it? I mean, I don't know if you take I'll
sure,
see your
sure,
donation.
sure. I don't care. Bro, I don't need any money for it. So
Oh,
I don't,
okay, yeah. I'll say I'll donate. I see your donation. Help me
but
promote.
all I can see is that
Yeah. So the burden of proof, right, brother?
yeah,
Because people
yeah.
say, "Oh, this was fulfilled in 70 A.D. when the Romans sacked Jerusalem and put the Jews back in the actual Egypt." Well, the burden of proof, and I asked you to ask you.
I don't say that. I don't say
Oh,
that.
well, that's the popular rebuttal. That this was 70 A.D.
What
when the
should I type
Romans
in?
came.
Rabbi Lewis, what?
Deuteronomy 28:68. It should pop right up.
All right, all right. Go ahead. I'm typing it in though.
So the burden of proof is to prove that all 12 tribes went back into actual Egypt in 70 AD. There's no proof for that. There's no historical proof for that. And I asked this to Rabbi Asher Meza, who's a rabbi like myself, and he even agreed with me. That there's no evidence. I talked to Cyril about it, he agreed there's no evidence.
Hmm. Well, I believe that none of the I think all the curses were over with by the time of Jesus Christ. That's my opinion. I don't know why
Uh,
people would argue that curses are occurring.
how's that true, brother? When he told them, he told them that the Romans were going to sack Jerusalem, they would be scattered.
What's that got to do with the curse, though?
The curse says in Deuteronomy 28 that you'll be scattered amongst the Gentiles. Verse
That's
64.
that's like saying, oh, they said they'll have, you'll be cursed in the city, and then people want to say, well, see, my life sucks in the city, so that's the Deuteronomy curse. You can't take such a general wide.
There's the book. There's the book. The first book. Click that.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. But
Yeah, that's my
yeah,
book. You see it? The first book.
yeah, I'm the one who typed it in. I know.
Oh yeah, yeah. As you can see, that's my new book I wrote. It's Deuteronomy 2068.
Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead. You
78,
can promote it. You go ahead. Promote this. Sell it real good, Rabbi Lewis. How long is it? How many pages and stuff?
70 pages. Deuteronomy 2068, 70 AD or Transatlantic End Times. By myself, Rabbi Lewis. It's only $5.99 Kindle book. So pick it up. It's must read.
So if you're a Hebrew Israelite and you want a guy, you didn't sell yourself good enough, Rabbi Lewis. You got to tell him I was in GMS for 12 years. I'm
Oh,
this. I'm
certainly, certainly, certainly. Yeah, I didn't introduce myself,
Sell it
but
to the Hebrew Israelites in the audience. Go
yeah, I
ahead.
was a great Muslim for 12 years. Now I'm a Shia Muslim, but I still hold to the 12 tribes chart and etc. So
Okay. All right. Now you sold it. Now you sold it. Now they're all going to buy. I actually invited some Hebrew Israelites, some random. I saw a random video pop up on my algorithm today. These guys in North Carolina, they're obviously a new group, just called a random name, Lions of Judah or something. So yeah, I invited them on. Maybe I'm gonna start doing that more. I mean, I'm blocked by a lot of them. Like Sakari's blocked me from Deacons blocked me. A couple of them have blocked me. So I don't know. If you ever want to get any of them on here, if you ever know any that want to come on, come on. You're always going against four of us. One Hebrew Israelite versus 3, 4 Christians at once, or
did I
David's
bring brother Jess on the other day?
who
Jess.
who?
Remember I brought my buddy Jess on a couple of weeks ago?
Oh yeah, but he wasn't a Hebrew Israelite. He was just a random guy.
He's a friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, no, I like Josh. I'm just saying, if you want to bring a Hebrew Israelite to try to help you out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you didn't really do a persuasive job, in my opinion, of just debunking the second half of this verse that says, "But there will be no buyer," or in other verses, no man will buy you. Because all you mentioned was one guy that was free who became a slave. That doesn't just
was not a slave. He came over as a slave. No man bought him because no
one
man
man
sold
was
by him.
free.
Huh?
Yeah, one man was free and then became a slave doesn't debunk the fact that people are being sold in the transatlantic slave trade.
What is the slave trade? 1 second.
The transatlantic slave trade, where people were being sold on auction blocks.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, you got a real uphill battle trying to say that because one guy was a free man and then became a slave, that proves that this verse applies to the transatlantic slave trade. That this verse is about all slavery, all Israelites that were just so desperate that they would offer themselves to be slaves.
Okay. Can I respond?
Yeah, I want.
Can I give them a taste of the book?
Do what?
Can I give them a taste of the book?
Go ahead, give them a taste of the book. If you want me to Google something or you want to put it in the private chat, I'll share it. Go ahead.
So let's prove that this is transatlantic slave trade. All right. I'm sorry.
I'm ignoring the fact that it says you'll go to Egypt because I'll allow people to have their interpretation of the scripture and say, okay, that's just a metaphor for slavery. I mean, I can understand people want that interpretation, but if I wanted to start there, I could also start there and just say, this is talking about literal
All right.
Egypt.
So let's prove that. Let's prove that if I
No,
could.
no, no. I won't. I don't care. I'll allow people to because I'm not going to argue if they want to make that a metaphor. But what I have a real problem with is the last half of the verse that says, "But there will be no buyer." Or if I go into the
Let me
King,
let me let me let me go in. If I could go into the book a little bit, a taste.
sure.
Proof that the blacks are the true Jews, true 12 tribes. Black
Oh, and
Hispanic
King
Israelites.
James says, "And no man shall buy you." Just so people are aware, I was in the ESV.
Okay.
What's up, man? Hit the like if you want to come in, buddy. Oh, there he is. I think he already did.
Who, Jamie?
Ah, it's Wesley. Never mind.
Oh, Wesley. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's going on, Wesley?
Hi, how are you guys?
Not bad, not bad. Probably going to get into the 12 judges at some point, but letting Rabbi Lewis promote his book here and talk to us about Deuteronomy 28:68 being about the transatlantic slave trade first. So we'll see how this goes, but we could talk about whatever you guys want, and then I could get into the 12 judges or whatever else.
Well, in the news, in Jerusalem, over in Israel, this year, a few days ago, around July 4th and 5th, an innocent Jewish child, one of the remnant, the 12 tribes, chosen from birth, said, "The name of God is Jesus." And a man claiming to be a rabbi, an Hebrew, who is not Jewish yet, attempted to murder the child. And before he could strike his murderous blow to that innocent Jewish child, Jesus killed him. And he lay dead at that child's feet. How did Jesus kill him? He removed the pearl of great wealth from the man's belly. It is the vision that Jesus told all mankind to tell, that pearl. And knowing this, I asked Jesus, having told the vision myself, I asked Jesus to give that man his life back. And I was here in Huntington, West Virginia, while he lay dead at the feet of that child in Jerusalem. And Jesus heard my prayer and gave that man his life back. You need to understand there is one sin that Jesus shall not forgive, and that is not telling the vision.
No, that's not the one sin, Wesley. The one sin is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. But
That is
that's
the
Matthew
blasphemy
3 as
of
well.
the Holy Spirit. Not
Well,
telling the vision is that blasphemy.
okay, if you want to relate it to that, that's fine. But are you telling everybody that you resurrected a man in Jerusalem with your prayer?
I did not say that. I said I asked Jesus to give him his life back. And Jesus did.
Okay, so somewhat you resurrected. You prayed to God and he resurrected the man.
It's teamwork, and Jesus does most of the work.
That's a good way. That's fair. That's fair. I'll accept that, Wesley. That's fair.
Tell them about the book before we go forward.
Sure.
Wesley's done. I'm sorry to be rude. Wesley, how you doing? Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
I'll let him finish. Sorry to be rude. So.
No, I think he just wanted to tell everybody that story. I don't know. He's welcome to talk about whatever we're up here talking about. But yeah, I think it was Mason. Go ahead, Rabbi Lewis. You can get back into whatever you were.
That's what it takes to the book. The point is the slave trade. So it says in Zephaniah, we become beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, right? In Zephaniah chapter 3, right?
You tell me the verse. Zephaniah chapter 3. What verse? I'll go to it.
Yeah.
Chapter 3. What verse?
Give you the verse.
If you want, I don't know if you want to get into it. You're going to argue that this is about the transatlantic slave trade also.
Zephaniah 3 and 10.
Okay. Woe to on Jerusalem and the nations. Cut off the nations. Okay. The conversion of the nations. I'll just read verse 9 too, just for context. For at that time I will change the speech of the peoples to a pure speech, that all of them may call upon the name of the Lord and serve him with one accord. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering.
Right. So it says Cush, which is Ethiopia, right?
Yes.
So it says beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Well, what's the issue here? In Antiquity, the Atlantic Ocean, which the transatlantic slave trade started on the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean was not called that in Antiquity. There was a new name for it. The actual ancient name for the Atlantic Ocean was, guess what?
You tell us.
The Ethiopian Ocean. And I have the maps in my book. You'll see the maps in the book you just saw. The original name for the Atlantic Ocean was the Ethiopian Ocean. So that Ethiopia that you're looking at is not talking about the Ethiopian in Africa. It's talking about the rivers of Ethiopia is the Atlantic Ocean, which was called in antiquity the Ethiopian Ocean. So it's not talking about that. People read that think it's talking about the actual Ethiopia in Africa. But this is a reference to the Atlantic Ocean, which is known as the Ethiopian Ocean. There you got back on there.
I think Wesley's playing the piano for us.
Oh, okay.
Well done, Wesley. Well done.
Thank you for that, Wesley. That was beautiful.
Can
Isaiah chapter 18.
you can actually play that thing. I didn't know. I was questionable about it, but now you proved me wrong, Wesley.
Isaiah chapter 18.
Hold on. We're not going to move past what you just said there. Yeah, I'm reading these verses in Zephaniah here, and why is the very next verse saying, "On that day you shall not be put to shame because of the deeds by which you have rebelled against me. For then I will move from your midst your proudly exultant ones, and you shall no longer be haughty in my holy mountain." So I don't agree with what you said, first of all, about the rivers of Cush, meaning the Atlantic Ocean, because I think that's a far reach. You'd have to show me, who, because you're saying people are calling the ocean the Ethiopian Ocean,
No,
or
I didn't say that. I said the original. Come and say 18 real quick. But what I was saying was the Atlantic Ocean in Antiquity was known as the Ethiopian Ocean. It was
by
changed to
who?
Atlantic Ocean later.
Who called it that?
We can look at that now. But
I'm saying, who called it that? I'm asking you because you wrote a book on it. Who called it that?
the ancient map makers before they changed the maps,
They
it was known
all
as the Ethiopian Ocean.
called it the Ethiopian Ocean.
Yeah, it was known as the Ethiopian. I have the maps in my book. You see it. So Isaiah chapter 18, real quick. So when it says we will come through the rivers of Ethiopia, it's not talking about, as I said 3 times, Ethiopia and Africa. It's talking about the Atlantic Ocean that we would come across in the transatlantic slave trade.
How are they going to bring their offering if they're in slavery? It says from
Yeah,
beyond
no. Isaiah 18.
hold on, we're not going to run from this verse. We got to look at it real quick, and then we'll go to another verse because you're the one who took us to this verse, and we're going to look at it. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. So are you saying slaves were bringing offerings in the transatlantic slave trade to God?
No, go to Isaiah 18. It says the same thing.
Hold on, we can't run away from this. You're the one who took
Yeah,
out of the
brother, I'm going to answer.
Bible,
Hold that and go to Isaiah 18.
but you took us here. I didn't take us here. So I'm asking you a question about where you took us. I'm asking you a question about where you took us. So you're
Yeah,
trying
I'm
to
answering that, brother. Give me Isaiah 18 real quick. Hold that. Go to Isaiah 18.
All right, we're coming back here though. We're coming back because I didn't tell you to say Zephaniah 3:10. I'm not the one who made this up. You're the one who told me to go there. So, all right, Isaiah 8 what?
18.
18. Then what?
1 through 2.
Verses 1 and 2. Okay, we'll go to Isaiah 18, 1 and 2, and then we'll revisit Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 10. Okay. An oracle concerning Cush. Ah, land of whirling wings, that is beyond the rivers of Cush, which sends ambassadors by the sea in vessels of papyrus on the waters. Go, you swift messengers, to a nation tall and smooth, to a people feared near and far, a nation mighty and conquering, whose land the rivers divide.
Yeah, I'm in a different version. I don't know what version you're in. It says, woe to the land shadowed with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, which is the Atlantic Ocean. Not Ethiopia and Africa. It's the Atlantic Ocean. That sends ambassadors by sea. To nations scattered in peels. We were scattered, right? To a people terrible from their beginning, though a nation melted out and trodden down, whose land the river have spoiled, right? So, as you can see in the book, you'll see the map. The Atlantic Ocean was known as the Ethiopian Ocean. They changed the name of it. And this is talking about the Atlantic Ocean with this transatlantic slave trade. I can say a lot more, but that's just one of the points from the book. I won't give the whole book away.
Well, my thing is, from where I understand, I'd have to get a world map, but Ethiopia isn't, it's on the other side of Africa from what I know. I'll have to check it out, but I'm not positive on that. So let me check the map for us here. But all right, so yeah, that's where I thought it was. So Ethiopia is more on the eastern Africa. So people can see here, this is where Ethiopia is on the map. So when it's saying cross over the rivers of Ethiopia, wouldn't it mean it would be going to the east? Why if the transatlantic slave trade is on this side of the country, would those verses be talking about them crossing over Ethiopia? I think you're on mute or something. Because it says which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. So I guess the whole way you're making it what you want it to be is you're saying that the transatlantic, the Atlantic Ocean is just called the rivers of Ethiopia. I guess that's the way you're gonna
Yeah.
get over.
Like I said, the maps in the book for proof of
Ethiopia
that.
on the east
The
side of.
Atlantic Ocean was the Ethiopian Ocean, correct? It was called. That's talking about the Atlantic Ocean, not the actual Ethiopia you see today. This is hidden history. You're not going to find anywhere else but Rabbi Lewis.
Go ye swift messengers to a nation scattered and peeled to a people terrible nation melted. All right. I mean, that's a better verse for your argument because I guess you can
See you
say that.
next, see you next time. I've got to go.
All right, Wesley. It's all good.
Thank you.
Thank you for playing the piano too. Thank you. That was good piano. All right, but let's go back to where we were now in Zephaniah 3:9 and 3:10. Well, you said 3:10. Sorry. Where in the transatlantic slave trade were people bringing God offerings? Shall bring my offering. My worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. On that day you will not be put to shame. In the very next verse. So were people bringing offerings and not being put to shame in the transatlantic slave trade?
No, that verse, Isaiah 18, is about us going into.
No. I'm on Zephaniah 3:10, the first verse you told me to go to.
Yeah, that's
Told
when
me
we
to
go.
hold it. You told me to hold it, so I held it, and
Yeah,
I'm back to it.
no, that verse is not about the slave trade. Isaiah 18 is. That verse is about us going back to the land, on being brought back to the land from our captivity. We come back to the land. We're
The
gonna go
land,
back through the
the land of
Atlantic Ocean
America.
when we came.
Wait, so what's this verse about?
Isaiah 18 is about us going to the.
No, Zephaniah 3:10.
Oh yeah, that's talking about when we go back to the land.
Go back to
From
what land?
America.
You're talking
Huh?
about after slavery in America?
Yeah, when we go back, then when the nation send us back, they're gonna send us back on boats back through the Atlantic Ocean where we came from.
So has this occurred yet?
No, Zephaniah. Isaiah 18 has already occurred. Zephaniah is about us being sent back by the nations, back from where we came from, back from the North Central South America
So
on
you're saying
boats.
slaves were returned to Israel and they did start bringing offerings to God?
Yeah,
Was this Jewish slaves? They weren't Christian slaves, right? They were just Jewish slaves?
yeah. When the nation send us back to the land, they're gonna
When
send us
or
back.
did so it didn't happen yet? Did it happen yet or no?
No,
Okay. All right, I'll let people. I don't want to beat this to death. I'll let people decide if that makes any sense or not. I don't want to beat it to death.
but like I said, Isaiah 18 is about us going into the Atlantic Ocean to North Central South America. But we're
Okay.
gonna go back to where we came. We're gonna go back on boats to send us back
Hmm.
through the Atlantic Ocean where we came from, back to the land of Israel.
People aren't going to be using airplanes. They're going to be using boats to send people back still.
Yeah, so the Bible explains this in Daniel. It says that
Mm.
the rock would fall down and break the piece of the kingdom. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that rocks Jesus Christ, correct?
No. That rock is talking about the inventions of the four empires: Persia, Babylon, Greece, and Rome. So,
You're
like,
saying that rock isn't Jesus Christ, the rock
yeah,
that'll
brother,
break
I'm giving you
people?
that, brother. When it says that, it's talking about the inventions of the four kingdoms of man. So, like for example, airplanes won't exist anymore. That was an invention of one of the last leg of the Roman Empire, which is America. Though airplanes won't exist.
Whoa! You just called America the Roman Empire? Do you know who founded
No,
America?
no, no, no. America was known as the last leg of the Roman Empire.
No. The Roman Empire did not found America.
And they were the little horn that would come out of America, out of Rome. It said
So you're saying Italians founded America?
no. There was two. What was when did the Western Roman Empire fall?
I mean, that's a random, obsolete Jeopardy
No,
question.
no, no. It's not. It's relevant because you should.
Well then,
What year did the
you tell me when the Roman Empire fell.
when did
If you
the
think
Western Roman? You had the Western and you had the
you
Byzantine
think that
Empire.
proves
What
anything,
year did the Western
you
Roman
tell
Empire
us.
fall?
I can Google it in 2 seconds if I wanted to. So that's
I
how I
want you to Google it. Can you answer the question from your knowledge base?
No, I cannot. How high can a kangaroo jump, Lewis? Can you answer that from your knowledge base?
476. It fell 476.
No. How high can a kangaroo jump?
Oh, I don't know how.
Oh, okay. So you must not have a very good knowledge base because you didn't know that obsolete piece of information. Okay,
Okay,
so,
so what
so
side of your body is your?
what are you saying about the Roman Empire?
There was two Roman empires, brother. You had the Western and the Eastern Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire fell, I think, in 476 AD. The Eastern Roman Empire keeps going and falls in around 1453 to the Ottoman Empire. Then there was a little horn that will come out of the Roman Empire, which was America. The Bible calls it the little horn that will come out of the Roman Empire, which was the last segment, which is America itself. So the Bible says in Daniel's that when we go back on airplanes, the Bible says the inventions of the four kingdoms will be gone. So there won't be any airplanes or any things that they invented. Four kingdoms of man. So they're gonna send us back on boats.
All right, but you know that the Roman Empire or Italians didn't found America, though, right?
I never said they founded America. I never said they were the last. They were the little horn that would come out of the Roman Empire.
Great Britain. It was the French. It was those countries. It wasn't the Italians. So to say that the Roman Empire is at all related to America is just a fabrication. There's no historical factual basis to say that the Roman Empire and America were connected at all. That's just, pure just making something up, just saying something that sounds good to people that don't even think, but it makes no. That's like me saying that the Genghis Khan has something to do with America because people are beating people up or police beat people with clubs or something silly like that. Like there has to be a correlation historically between the Roman Empire and America, which there isn't. The Roman Empire, like you just said, was over with, centuries before America was even founded. And then people, sent people, Spain, sent Christopher Columbus, Spain, Portugal, pretty much everybody except Italy, had a basis. Great Britain, France, those countries were founded in America. It wasn't the
No,
Italians.
the Bible calls it the great whore that sits upon the beast, which is America, the great whore.
I read the same verse in Revelation that says the great whore and the beast. Who gave you this information that told you who the great whore was? Who was the genius that knew what the great whore was? Because to me, it's a metaphor.
It is a metaphor. The great whore is America that sits upon the beast, which is NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is the beast that.
Yeah, I've heard this from another Hebrew Israelite before, and it's utterly ridiculous to call the beast NATO.
Well, I can prove it's NATO. I can prove that.
You can't prove that at all. That's just pure. Of course, you can't prove it. NATO. Did you think when the Bible was written in prophecy about Revelation, they were speaking about NATO?
Of course.
That's such an American egocentric view of what the Bible would say. It doesn't at all think about what somebody in another country would think about the Bible. It's such an American egocentric way of looking at it, and it makes no sense to call the beast NATO. The beast is clearly the devil. I mean, it's not NATO.
The beast is not the devil.
Well, the beast
is the dragon is the Roman Empire.
All right, I'm not going to get into this discussion because it's utterly ridiculous. But I also just want you to understand that this King James version of the Bible that most Hebrew Israelites subscribe to tells everybody that reads the verse that you're saying is about the transatlantic slave trade. It explicitly says, "And no man shall buy you." So unless you can prove that no slaves are being bought in the transatlantic slave trade, this verse does not apply. But what I also could do is I could go to Jeremiah 11:8, and I think you may have seen me do this before, but it shows that all the curses were brought by God. God brought all the curses of the covenant. So in 11:8 it says, "Yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked every one in the imagination of their evil heart. Therefore I'll bring upon them all the words of this covenant, which I commanded them to do, but they did not." And this is talking about the curses from the covenant Moses made for Deuteronomy 28:68. So all the words of this covenant.
I go to Daniel 7:6.
I'll go to Daniel. I had another verse. I'm going to go to Daniel 9:11 because you're going to be talking about this NATO thing. You're not even going to be responding to what I'm trying to talk about here, so I'm not going to get into that right now because I already know Daniel 9:76 or whatever. It's not about the transatlantic slave trade. You're going to be talking about NATO, but we're talking about your book on the transatlantic slave trade being about Deuteronomy 28:68.
Yeah.
Daniel 9:11 through 14 also shows you about all the curses being brought. So this is saying not all like Jeremiah 11 8 did, but it does tell you the curses were brought. So ye all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. And he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us. Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. Therefore hath the Lord watched upon the evil and brought it upon us. For the Lord our God is righteous in all his works which he doeth, for we obeyed not his voice. I mean, I don't really like the way the King
Okay,
James.
can I say I got 3 verses so I could?
No. We're gonna continue to go through this theory you had about Deuteronomy 28:68. So those 2 verses I just showed you from the prophet Daniel and the prophet Jeremiah show you that God brought all the curses of the covenant that Moses gave the Israelites to follow. And it also says that no man shall buy you. And it even says, the Israelites would be brought back to Egypt. But I'm ignoring that part because I'm fine with that being a metaphor. If people want to make that argument, they can make that argument. But I do have a
Can I just say
problem.
a couple things? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to say you have to show me in Deuteronomy 28 curses, verses 15 through 68, where it says that God is going to continually bring these curses forever. Because right there, I just showed you that God brought all the curses. So
I got 3 verses if I could.
you have to show me within first. You're going to answer my questions about this. You have to show me where in Deuteronomy, the through 15 through 68, the curses, it tells me that these curses are going to be forever.
Let me Acts 7 and 6. I'm going to Daniel 7 and 6.
No, that's not answering my question though. It's my
It
question.
is. I'm answering your question, brother.
No, it isn't. My question is, which one of these curses tells us that the curses are forever? Because God brought all the curses by the time of Jeremiah and by the time of Daniel, which is 500 BC, 550 BC for Daniel, 600 BC for and Jeremiah. So all the curses were brought by the time of Jeremiah, and Daniel also just reiterated that. So you got to show me which one of these curses. You have 44 options, 15
Yeah,
through
brother. Okay, brother. Go to verse 46. It tells you these are perpetual curses.
No, it doesn't. I've read verse 46 before. It says
It
there'll be
does.
signs
It does
and
say that.
wonders.
Read verse
It says
46.
there'll be signs and wonders. That's what it says.
46.
Yeah, I am familiar with verse 46.
It says
It
forever.
shall
It
be
says
upon
forever,
me
bro.
for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Forever. This is perpetual.
You know what a sign and a wonder is? That's like
Yeah.
that's something that occurred. That's not something that
Yeah, what he's saying is,
happened
brother,
forever.
hold on, brother. What he's saying, like, you at McDonald's. How you know you at McDonald's? Because there's a big sign there that says it's
No.
McDonald's.
You got to be kidding me. A sign is when something happens. Like Jesus Christ dying on the cross was a sign.
No, brother. Here's what I'm
Great
saying. We would
pyramids in the middle
know.
of the earth is a
Hashem is
sign
saying
and
we
a
would
wonder.
know. We would know who's
Eiffel
Israel.
Tower is a sign and a
No,
wonder.
we know who's Israel. Like
No.
if you want to go to the if you want
That
to
is
go to the store and you're at that store by the sign, so we would know who the children of Israel were by the sign of these curses.
No. This says they'll be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, meaning that when these curses happened, you'll be able to talk to people about it for future generations. And I can show it to you in Ezekiel 5, where the people had to eat their own children, and it says that they're going to talk to the future generations about it forever. That's what that
So
verse is saying.
I ask a question for you.
Saying
I
that
have
these
questions.
curses are forever.
I have some questions for you.
Sure.
Can we go to Acts 7:6 and Daniel 7?
No. We'll go there, but not right now, because I had a question that I need to.
Sure.
Have.
All I'm saying is the reason why I'm saying it because we know we'll be able to identify them by the curses. These curses
So
will be able to identify.
So you think when it says in Deuteronomy for 45, just so people understand the context here, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall bring upon thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So you don't think that means that God brought all the curses, because it's saying that the people are going to be destroyed, and all these curses are going to come on them to the point where they're going to be destroyed. You don't think that the next verse is telling you that means that it's going to be something that's just going to be spoken about for generations? You're trying to act like verse 46 tells people that it's the curses are forever. Even though this covenant is changed under Jesus Christ, we're under a new covenant. This is the Mosaic covenant, correct?
Yeah.
So are we under the Mosaic covenant still? No, we're not. That's a rhetorical question. So, but again,
No, let me respond to that.
I'm not even going to go there,
Let me
because
respond to
that's
that.
too easy of a way to debunk this terrible.
No, let me respond to that.
Go ahead. Respond to that.
There's different levels of interpreting the Bible. In exegetical, it's called pardes and exegesis. For example, can I get James 9:27?
No, I don't want to start jumping around. I want to talk about Deuteronomy verses.
Yeah, I'm staying on topic. It's on topic. James 9:27.
You said Daniel's
9:27.
the book of Daniel 9:27.
Yeah, then I have some questions for you.
All right, but we're going to come right back to this verse, because this verse is not saying these curses last forever. These curses are saying this is saying that these curses happened, and people are going to talk about them forever.
That's not true, because
that's
the Bible
what a sign
says
and a wonder is. That's what a sign and a wonder is.
Hold on, let's do it. Let's show that's not the context of that. Because God said we would no longer. God said in the Bible, we would no longer talk about what happened in Egypt. So that would cut that hermeneutic.
No. You can't just take a random verse and say that would cut what this says. This is clearly saying that they're going to be a sign and a wonder. That's not saying the curses.
Well, you just said that's talking about us talking about it forever. When that's not true. Hashem said we would never teach our children about Egypt. We no longer talk about what happened in Egypt.
I don't know what verse you're talking about there, but that has nothing to do with these curses.
How could you say this is saying that we're going to be talking about it forever? When God said we're no longer going to talk after this captivity, we're no longer going to talk about what happened in the Exodus. I got to find that verse though. But
well, you can find that verse, but all I'm saying is this is not telling you these curses are going to last forever. This is telling you that those curses are going to be a sign forever, meaning that whatever happened is going to be talked about from generation to generation, so the Israelites don't do it again. The only problem
is it's not the context of that.
The problem is Deuteronomy is a law book, and after Jesus Christ comes, there's new law. So you also have a huge problem there. You can't say that that's not a minor problem. That's a major problem for you.
Go to James 9:27.
Hold on, I'm looking for the verse in looking for my verse here in Ezekiel to show you what I'm trying to tell you. But I don't know. I'm not used to the King James version, so I'm not seeing it. Let me go to a version I'm used to here. I'll find it. Might be. Is it 510? Hey, if Jesse, David, any of you guys want to join the panel, hit the link, guys. Right now, we're not getting into the 12 judges. We're just talking about random stuff. Me and Lewis are going over the fact that he just wrote a book on Deuteronomy 28:68 being about the slave trade. So I'm just trying to show him that that was a bad idea and that his research team failed him miserably on that. But, all right, hold on. All right. All right. 30 people. Then my anger will cease. They will know that I will make a room approach. Okay, well, these are the verses I was talking about. I will make, and this is after the parents have to eat their children. Notice that the parents are eating their children in verse 10, and it's telling you exactly why. Because of the curses in Deuteronomy, they're fulfilling the Deuteronomy curses. I believe it's 53 through 58, which I could show people. Is when they had to eat their own children. So this is a Deuteronomy curse right after what Lewis is talking about as far as the verse he quoted, verse 46. And God even says in these verses here in 14 and 15, I will make you a ruin and a reproach among the nations around you in the sight of all who pass by. You will be a reproach and a taunt, a warning and an object of around you when I inflict punishment on you in anger and in wrath with stinging rebuke. So this is what I'm talking about when I speak about that curse in Deuteronomy 28:46, you'll be a sign and a wonder forever. This is right after a Deuteronomy curse. And God is saying exactly what that verse 46 means to me, at least, or to, I think, a lot of
Can I
people.
rebuttal now? Brother, you said like 10 things. Can I rebuttal what you're saying?
Well, I'm not done saying it, but yeah, I was about 5 seconds away. But yeah, this is saying a warning and an object of horror. Isn't a warning and an object of horror a sign and a wonder forever?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now
Let me
go
dance
ahead.
9:27 real quick.
All right. Daniel verse chapter. So we're clear though, for everybody that listened, he did admit a warning and an object of horror is a sign. So that would fulfill Deuteronomy 28:46 in that regard. And that is specifically after they ate their own children, which was a Deuteronomy curse. So that's why I'm saying that verse in Deuteronomy 28:46, when it says you'll be a sign and a wonder forever, means all the curses that God brought are going to be signs and wonders, meaning things that people talk about so they don't do those acts again. Okay, where are we now?
Verse 27, can you explain it?
For Daniel, what is this about? Is this about the transatlantic slave trade? Or is this you talking about the NATO thing? Because I have a feeling you're trying to talk about NATO still.
Yeah, NATO. So explain it.
Exactly. We're not talking about NATO, but we'll go here another time, another day. I'll read the verse right now, but I'm not talking about NATO right now. I'm talking about Deuteronomy and the curses.
It ties into this. So it's ties
no, NATO and Revelation has nothing to do with Deuteronomy.
Of course it does. Explain this, please.
He will confirm a covenant with many for 1/7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to the sacrifice and offering. And at the temple, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. What is that?
Who fulfilled this?
What does that have to do with NATO?
Yes, I'm going to show you who fulfilled this.
I have no idea.
The question is who fulfilled this?
I have no idea. You tell me.
I'm asking you.
I just told you.
You don't know.
I would have to read the verses around it to even have a
Take your time. Go ahead. Read all you want.
Well, I'd have to read all the verses. I'd have to read the chapter. I'd have to know. I can't just jump to a verse out of nowhere and know what it means.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Not all the verses in the Bible
I'll tell you fulfilled it, right?
The 77s. Okay. Well, Jesus said he'll forgive you if you sin 77 times. He says how many times will forgive you. But yeah, I think this is apocalyptic, and it's pretty hard for us to know who fulfilled it. I have to read all these verses, but you can give me a theory.
Yeah, it was Antiochus Epiphanes from the Seleucid Empire. He came to Jerusalem in the middle of the week, as it said, and put the pig on the altar. It's known as the abomination of desolation. And there was a
Wait,
figurative.
I didn't catch who you said first. Who'd you say? Who?
Antiochus Epiphanes.
Who's that?
You never heard of him?
I've heard the name, but who is he? A church father or something?
No, he's from the Seleucid Empire.
The Seleucid Empire. What time frame was that?
300-400 BC. So the Seleucid Empire.
Oh,
In fact, let's get that. Give me Daniel 7 and 6.
no, Lewis, you have like attention deficit. You jump around like a kid who has like attention deficit. We can't keep flipping the channels here, man. We got to.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna break it down. Daniel 7 and 6.
All right, but hold on. I'm gonna revisit this verse. This Daniel 9. 9.
Do whatever you want, bro. Let me just break it down.
Well, I'm
Daniel
just saying.
7 and 6.
I don't know. But who are you saying? Just give us the answer to the question you asked me. Who are you saying is this verse about?
Antiochus Epiphanes. Give me Daniel 7 and 6.
1-7 in the middle. The sevens. You will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple we set up to the end.
Give me Daniel 7 and 6 real quick, so I can show you what this is.
Okay. I notice we're getting away from the Deuteronomy verses, though.
We're not. We're gonna tie it all back together. You think it's all tied?
We're on a separate subject here. You're not talking about Deuteronomy. You're trying to talk about the NATO thing. Okay, Deuteronomy 7:6.
No, Daniel. Yeah, Daniel.
Well, Daniel 7:6. That's what I meant.
Hold on, let me get the right verse.
I'll go to the KJV too.
Yeah, Daniel 7 and 6.
Okay. Vision of the four beasts. Okay. Again, sorry. After this, I beheld, and though another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Who fulfilled this?
Bro, I have no idea, and I think anybody that claims that they know is a liar. That's my opinion. If somebody wants to say they know who this is about, they're just creatively making up something because nobody knows.
I'll give it to you. So the leopard,
like a leopard, which had upon the back of its 4 wings of a fowl, the beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given in it to it. So
yeah, I break it down.
Well, I could break it down and make up anything I want too, but it doesn't mean it's right. I mean, to say
so let me break it down for the people.
Interpret that is a lie. And the only way you would know this is if you had direct communication with God to understand what this. Let
me break it down for the people if I could.
Did you have direct communication from God to break it down?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
God gave you prophetic understanding through the Holy Spirit to understand this?
Yes. Let me break it down.
Okay,
so it says,
go ahead, Lewis.
After this beheld and lo, another like a leopard. That's talking about Alexander the Great. It says Alexander always wore a leopard skin. Right? He was known for wearing leopard skin. That's why it says like a leopard, because Alexander the Great wore a leopard skin as a saddle blanket on his horse, and his helmet was covered with leopard skin, right? So the leopard represents the leopard Alexander, right? So after he died, the Greek Empire was split. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't agree with what you said, but I'm letting you finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Alexander, the leopard is Alexander, the Great, right? You know Alexander the Great, right?
Yeah, he's about 100 years after Daniel, so it's pretty contemporary.
Yeah, so the leopard represents Alexander the Great because he used to wear leopard skin on his helmet and on his saddle.
I don't agree, but I'll hear you out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so after his death, the four wings, he dies. Alexander he died. The Greek Empire split into 4 kingdoms, which is the first kingdom was the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt. The second wing was the Seleucid Empire of Nicanor of Babylon in the Levant. So the first wing, because it says and this behold, another like a leopard was Alexander, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. So what are the 4 wings? The 4 wings represent the Ptolemaic Empire of Egypt. The second wing is Seleucus Empire of Nicanor and Babylon in the Levant. The third was Antigonus in Asia, and then the fourth was the Samacus, the government of Hellespont. Right. So after Alexander dies, his kingdom got split into four kingdoms, which is known as the four wings. The fifth one was Cassander, possession of Macedonia. So this verse was fulfilled by Alexander, and after he died, his kingdom got split into four wings, and so just gave it to you. Okay.
That's completely your interpretation, and I have no agreement at all with anything you said, but that's your interpretation, and that's fine. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28:46 now and break down how that is, talking about perpetual curses. Because again, I saw signs and wonders forever. To me, like, 9/11 is a sign and a wonder forever. So something like that, a dramatic event, or even an archaeological building is a sign and wonder forever. I don't read, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, as anything saying these curses will never end. But that's how you read it, huh? That's how you read it, though, right? Lewis, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Can we go to Revelations real quick?
No, I'm asking you. You believe this is you're still talking about NATO? If you want to go to Revelations, we're not talking
No, it's
about
not
NATO.
NATO. It's not NATO. Revelations.
We're not going to Revelations. And just you're not going to. We're talking about the. See, you just said that Deuteronomy 28:68 was about the transatlantic slave trade. I showed you in Jeremiah and I showed you in Daniel that God brought all the curses of this covenant. I told you that this is a law book. Deuteronomy is a law book written under the Mosaic covenant. The Mosaic covenant is over. When Jesus Christ comes, there is a new covenant. Now, I've also showed you that this verse does not say anything about the curses being forever. It says, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. I showed you in Ezekiel 5, after the people ate their children, which is a curse that occurs, you can see in these verses right here. 53, no, sorry. It's right around here. Okay, 55. So that he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness, where with thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Okay, so I could show you not only the children getting eaten in Ezekiel 5, but I can also show you the siege being represented in Ezekiel 4. So I could show you where all these curses actually occur in the Bible. So that's your problem also, is you're claiming that every curse happens, except you're claiming that Deuteronomy 28:68 happens twice, because you're saying that Jeremiah in 11:8, when he says all the curses of the covenant came, you're saying that Deuteronomy 28:68 happened then in 600 BC ish, and then it happened 2,000 years later in the transatlantic slave trade. So am I understanding that right? Because you're not saying that the Jeremiah 11:8 verse isn't clear, right? You are saying that this curse did happen already in the time of Jeremiah, right? I'll go back to Jeremiah 11:8 so you can see. Yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked every one in the imagination of their evil heart. Therefore I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant, which I commanded them to do, but they did not. And that's talking about the curses of Deuteronomy. I could go to other translations and it'll tell you all the curses. King James says all the words of this covenant, but I think we're all pretty clear on what the covenant is. We can go and we can read the entire context to Jeremiah 11. The covenant is broken, the broken covenant. And it's talking about tells you they got out of Egypt. Then it talks about the land of milk and honey. So it talks about the covenant of the land. And then it gets into, the covenant of obeying, what Moses gives them, So when it says all the words of this covenant God brought on them, you're not saying, you are admitting that Deuteronomy 28:68 happened in the time of Jeremiah or prior, obviously prior to Jeremiah, right? By 600 BC, that curse did occur at least once, right?
Acts 7 and 6.
I'm asking you a direct question. That verse isn't going to answer my question. I'm not going to say you have to answer me yes or no, but I want you to answer my question. This here that says in Jeremiah 11:8, all the words of this covenant came upon the Israelites is speaking to the curses in Deuteronomy, and I also showed you that Daniel 9:11 through 9:14. So, are you saying that that Deuteronomy 28:68 happened in the time of Jeremiah or prior, obviously, and then it happened again? So it happened twice?
Yes, if I can respond to that.
How many times did it happen? Twice? Or did it happen 3 times, 4 times?
Can I
How many
respond to that,
times?
please?
Yeah, I'm just asking you another follow-up
Yeah, so
question.
as I went to James 9, it says that he will come in the middle of the week and cause the sacrifice and no place in the seats, right? Remember that, James 9?
Daniel's 9 wasn't even talking about Deuteronomy. We were talking about NATO.
When I'm making an example, I'll show how it's twofold fulfillments in the Bible. So it says he came in the middle of the week and caused the sacrifice and no place in the seats, correct?
I don't know what the start of the question was because I was distracted.
Brother, I'm showing you that there's twofold prophecies in the Bible. There's multiple
There's
interpretations.
twofold prophecies in the Bible, but the curses can happen more than once too, but they can't happen after the
Brother,
law
let me just make my
changes,
point, brother.
covenant
So what I'm
change.
saying is, I'm giving you as an example.
Mm-hmm.
The sacrifice and oblation would cease. That's talking under Antiochus Epiphanes. And arguably, when Christ died on the cross, he got rid of he ended the Mosaic law of sacrifice. So it's a twofold prophecy. Antiochus Epiphanes fulfilled that literally. There's a figurative fulfillment of that verse with the crucifixion when the sacrifice and oblation would cease, meaning the end of the Mosaic law will be suspended, the animal sacrifice law. So you see how it's twofold.
I'm not saying things only happen, one way in the Bible, but what I'm asking you is how many times did that curse happen? Deuteronomy 28:68. Did it happen from the time of Jeremiah, 600 BC-ish, a little prior?
It happened multiple times. It's not one
So when
fulfillment.
did it happen again?
It happened, and it happened when the Romans came and sacked Jerusalem and took slaves into actual Egypt. And there's a figurative fulfillment of this in the transatlantic slave trade. So there's a literal fulfillment. It's like Antiochus Epiphanes literally came to Israel and caused the oblation to cease, and then figuratively under Christ, when he died on the cross, he caused the oblation to cease, meaning this animal sacrifice.
So you're saying how many times did Deuteronomy 28:68 happen, or was there just a 2,000-year gap?
It happened multiple times. It's a recurring curse.
So
It's not just one curse.
So when else did the Israelites go on ships into slavery into Egypt?
There's a biblical scholar named John Gill. You ever heard of him? He's an English biblical scholar.
No, I have not.
He's a biblical scholar named John Gill from the 1600s. He said that Egypt is figurative. That it symbolized slavery or bondage.
Mm-hmm.
So even the earliest.
That's fine. That's fine. But you also, like I said, have never gotten over this hurdle of "no man shall buy you" part of the verse. That's another part of this verse you've missed. But I don't care about that right now. I'm asking you a separate question.
Yeah, I'm gonna deal with the slave trade.
I'm asking you
how
many times did this curse happen? Is what I'm
giving
asking.
it to you. Go to Acts 7 and 6.
Yeah, but the problem is when I go to these verses, they never answer my question.
They do answer the question. Acts 7 and 6.
About something totally different, like NATO or something. Okay. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and they should bring them into bondage and entreat them 400 years.
Yeah, so right now it says that this is talking about America.
It's talking about hold on. That's talking about what happened to the Israelites.
No, this is America. How do we know? Because notice it doesn't say in Acts 7 that he will go back into Egypt. The word Egypt is not there. It says bring them into bondage.
No,
that is saying that we will go back to
original. Egypt. That's talking about the original bondage that occurred for 400 years.
No,
why does it say the original Israelites were in Egypt in slavery for 400 years, right?
No, why doesn't it not say
no?
Egypt? And it
You
says they
just
went
said
to
no.
bondage. It doesn't say Egypt.
No,
It
no,
doesn't
no,
say we
no,
would go to
no. The
Egypt. It says
original
bondage.
Israelites were in Egypt in slavery for 400 years.
They were not. If you
He
read the
tells
book of, hold on,
Abraham
brother,
that.
let me finish, brother. They were not in Egypt for 40 years. If you read the book of Jasher, it tells you they were only in Egypt for 250 years, not 400 years. If you do the math, from Kohath was Moses' grandfather. He walked into Egypt. You count from Kohath to Moses. We were only in Egypt for 250 years. Count from Kohath to Moses. When Moses came back, you see what I'm saying? We were only there for 250 years.
We're going to go to Genesis 15:13. I read this today. This is what God's telling Abraham about his descendants being in slavery. And he says explicitly 400 years. You're not going to get out of this one, my friend. Genesis 15:13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
That's America, buddy.
That's not talking about the Israelites in Egypt when
No,
God
that's America. I just proved that.
What?
Count from
Are you
Kohath.
serious? You are
Let's
claiming
get it.
that
Let's get
God
it.
was telling Abraham about Israelites in America, and
Yeah.
he wasn't talking about Abraham's seed in Egypt in this verse?
Let's prove that. I'm gonna put it now.
It's impossible to prove that because you're totally wrong.
Let's prove that. Go to
You're insane to even make this argument that you're saying that God was telling Abraham Israelites will be in America for slavery for 400 years. This verse says 400 years. See, what just happened was you tried to dispute the 400 years. You brought up Apocrypha Jasher, which is not canon. You brought up Jasher and tried to dispute the 400 years. But what I just did is I showed you God telling Abraham that his seed would be afflicted, and we all know what that is describing, the Israelites' captivity in Egypt, that they're serving Egypt for 400 years. And now that I showed you the 400 years, you want to say that that's talking about America? You have to learn when to give up, man. You have to learn when to give up. You got to give up sometimes, Lewis. You got to just admit you're wrong.
I just showed you. Kohath walked into Egypt.
I mean, to say this is America is ludicrous. God is telling Abraham, 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, whatever, that, he's going to have his seed in American slavery. I mean, technically, America, wasn't even a country till 1776, but I understand you can make the argument it was colonized in the city. There's still not 400 years of slavery in America either. Like, that's the problem, too. Like, you have a problem trying to say that American slavery was 400 years, because I mean, I think the earliest settlements were around 1600. I'm not positive on the exact date America was colonized, but I know it wasn't the plantation slavery, for 400 years. So to try to make this 400 years about America is just the worst Hebrew Israelite hopscotch I've ever seen, as David would call it. When has God judged this nation that this 400 years was talking about? Didn't God already judge Egypt?
Yeah. So like I said, it could have only been in Egypt for 250 years maximum. If we count from Kohath, go to Genesis 46:26. If we count from Kohath to Moses, Moses kills the soldier, flees to Midian for 40 years.
So you're going to try to argue this 400 years. That's God didn't.
It wasn't 400 years. Do the math from Kohath to Moses.
So you're trying to dispute the fact that God's promise to Abraham isn't true. That's all you're trying to do with what
I'm sure the 400-year captivity was America, not Egypt.
We weren't in captivity in America for 400 years. There was no black people in America for captivity for 400 years.
Of course, 1619.
No. Okay, yeah, do the math. 1619 to 1865. How many years is that?
What are you talking about?
250 years? What do you mean? What am I talking about? 1619 to slavery was slavery ended in 1865.
That's not what I said. I said the 40 years of the 40 captivity in Genesis you just read is up in 2024 in America. That's when the 40 years end. We were only in Egypt for 250 years, and Joshua tells you that. And if you count from Kohath to Moses, you'll see it is only 250-year time span. So what are you talking about?
What am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that this is about Israelites in Egypt and has nothing to do with America.
So
And
please rebuttal my claim that they were only there for prove they were there for 400 years. Prove that.
I just did with the verse Genesis 15:13.
Now it doesn't say Egypt. It doesn't say Egypt.
God's telling Abraham that his seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years.
Okay, go to Genesis
That happened
46:26.
to Israelites in Egypt. That happened.
It did not happen. I just showed they were only there for 250 years.
You didn't show it. You quoted Apocrypha, and you're just disputing that this verse, is even valid.
No, I gave you the timeline from Kohath to Moses. Kohath walked into Egypt with the 72 souls.
This is insane to try to say that's about America, Lewis.
Bro, I just showed, go to Genesis 46:26.
Egocentric that
go to Genesis 46:26.
All right, I'll go there, but it's just insane to try to make these arguments. I feel sorry for people that you think somebody in China is viewing like the Bible the same way you're viewing it. 46, what verse?
26.
46:26. Okay.
46:26.
Okay. All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons, wives, all the souls were 66.
Yeah, that was 72. Score is 30, right? So
that's 66.
They walked in. One of them was Kohath, Moses' grandfather. So Kohath had Amram, who had Moses.
You got my Anglican priest going off in the chat right now. Troy Tell, if you want to hit the link, man, feel free. It's hard to keep up with all your comments. I've seen a couple. I'm trying to keep up with Lewis in this conversation too. If you want to come in, you can feel free to hit the link like you did yesterday. Just tell me if you do, because when I'm sharing the screen, just comment, say you hit the link in the main chat, not the private chat, because if I'm sharing my screen like this, I can't see if somebody's sitting in the back. I mean, I'll check I'll check here, like right now I'm checking type of thing. But yeah, if you can, just when you're about to hit the link, just say I'm in the, I'm hitting the link, and that way I can see it, because I can see the comments on the screen. But yeah, I haven't been able to read all your comments yet. I just seen you've been writing a bunch of them. But yeah, Lewis, I mean, he's an Anglican priest. He doesn't, have an agenda. But what does this verse in Genesis 46:23 even prove to you?
Kohath was one of the 72 souls who walked into Egypt. Kohath, Moses kills the Egyptian soldier, flees the Midian for 40 years when he was 40, comes back at 80, dies at 120. If you count from Kohath to Moses, it's only 250 years in Egypt. So the 400-year captivity doctrine is bogus. They were only there for 250 years. Do the math. This can't be Egypt. I'm sorry.
So you're claiming that prophecy to Abraham isn't fulfilled yet?
This was fulfilled in the transatlantic slave trade. The captivity that we will go Abraham's seed, it's called Jacob's trouble, is the transatlantic slave trade. This is a direct reference to the transatlantic slave trade, not actual Egypt.
How could it be talking about America when America wasn't even the captivity of black people in America wasn't even 400 years? And don't people want to argue that it was the Native Americans also? Like, I mean, that were they in captivity for 400 years in America too? I mean, does it just start when they were in a war? Like, they weren't in captivity. Doesn't it say the Latinos are Israelites too, or are you a black only Israelite person or Negro only?
Go to Jeremiah 50 and 33.
Well, I'm asking you, who do you believe the Israelites are? Are they black, Latinos, and Native Americans?
Yes.
Are they Negroes? Who are they?
That's it. Jeremiah 50, 33. All blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
All right, hold on. American colonized. I'm trying to get the year America colonized.
Give me Jeremiah 50, 33.
Hold on. I got things to do here too, Lewis. It's not just
okay. Go ahead, bro. It's your show, bro.
Oh, it's not because it's my show. It's because we're having a discussion and I'm trying to figure out this 400-year thing. So during the 16th century, 1500s, the work of the colonization was left almost entirely to Spain. Slavery start. American slavery start. Let me type that in. So I want to find out how America fulfilled this 400 years. What do we got here? 13th Amendment started in 1619. That's what they say American slavery started in. So how does that fulfill the 400 years, Lewis?
Certainly. If I can respond?
Yeah, I mean, how
They
does
changed the calendar changed from 365. I'm sorry?
how does this 1619 date to 1865 when slavery was done away with fulfill 400 years of captivity?
Certainly. So, the calendar was changed from 365 days to 360. There's an extra 5 years to the prophecy. So 1619, the captivity, the 40 years is up in 2024. Christ returns in 2023. The captivity ends in 2024. The seventh seal prophecy ends. So the Israelites will be in captivity for 2 more years. 2024, the captivity ends. 2023, Christ returns. Give me Jeremiah 50:33.
So you're claiming black people are still in captivity in America?
Of course, we're still in captivity. We don't have any standing army. We don't own any land. We don't have a standing army. We're in another people's land beneath another
White
people.
people don't have a standing army.
Of course you do. What are you talking about? White people run the world, run the country.
White
We don't
people
have
a
any
standing
military.
army.
Hold on, brother. We don't have any military. We don't have any
What do you mean black
land.
people are in the military? What are you talking about? They
Black
haven't
people
you
don't
ever
have
seen
their own military.
You haven't seen the movie Glory? You
They're
never
in
saw
other people's
Denzel
military. They're in
Washington
another people's military.
fighting in the Civil War?
That's because of integration. Because we got integrated with white people, Albions, and it was integrated with the that was integration, which of course, okay, Jesse's here. Great, good to see Jesse because I want to talk to him.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Jesse, go ahead, bro.
You could feed on my prey like a hyena, my friend. Go ahead. You can finish this guy off a little bit. Go ahead. Chew on his arm or leg a little bit.
Awesome.
Jesse,
Thank
shalom,
you,
brother.
Ryan. Peace, brother. Peace, brother Lewis.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, brother. I just have a quick question, if that's okay.
You got the floor, brother. I was waiting for you to come on. I came on for you, brother.
Awesome, brother. All praises. Was the slave trade a reward or was it a punishment?
Yes, I don't know how much you called it the discourse, but I was showing how, right? It says in Isaiah 18 that we will go over in Ethiopia, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was showing how that's not talking about it's talking about the Ethiopian River Ocean, which is the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean, where the transatlantic slave trade happened, was called the Ethiopian Ocean in Antiquity. See what I'm saying? So today it's called the Atlantic Ocean. When we came through, through the slave trade.
Yeah, and that's awesome information to have. But here's the question: was the slave trade a punishment from God?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, you heard what I said, right?
Yeah. But here's the point.
Can you repeat what I said?
Why are you bringing this up? Like if this is some
certainly.
type
Can
of
you repeat what I said?
an honor or a medal to have? It was a punishment
Yeah, can you repeat what I
for
said?
your disobedience, brother.
Honestly, can you repeat what I just said?
Well, you're trying to connect it by changing names of rivers and places, and you're assuming that now it means this. It's just your theory.
No, I said the Atlantic Ocean, where the transatlantic slave trade happened, was originally called the Ethiopian Ocean. So when it says we will go through Ethiopia, it's talking about the Atlantic slave trade.
Well, I just Googled that because you said that and I was curious and I hadn't have time to Google it. But when I just Googled that, Lewis, the place that was called the A before Ethiopian Sea Ocean is the very southern tip of Africa, in between Africa and South America. It's not in the Atlantic Ocean between Africa and America for the transatlantic slave trade that you're trying to argue.
Yes, it is. The Atlantic Ocean was called the Ethiopian Ocean. Let's prove that.
But here's the thing, Lewis.
Southern. I'll show people because I just Googled it. Go ahead.
I got the map in my book.
Lewis,
I do
can I
too.
say this? In the book of Matthews, right? And if Ryan's able to pull this verse,
Yep.
it's in
I will.
Matthew 3:9. And this is the first topic that's brought up to the Pharisees that are coming to, keep people in their doctrine. And this is the first topic that's brought up. And it's the idea of being a lineage with Abraham, brother. And that seems to be your main focus is a slave trade, but that has nothing to do with the gospel. That wasn't Christ's message.
All right, I'll try to get a bigger map that also shows America, but you can see the part that they're describing as the Ethiopian Ocean back in Antiquity or whatever it was. It's the southern part of Africa in between this landmass over here is South America, Lewis. It's not the northern part in between America and Africa.
Do some research. Most 80% of the slaves, 70-80% didn't come to North America. They were in South and Central America.
I never said they weren't, but you're arguing
No,
that
because you're thinking that all the slaves. Hold on, brother. You're talking as if all the slaves came to the Americas. America. Most of the slaves.
No. I didn't say that, but you're the one saying that this 400 years is American slavery. You had said nothing about
yes.
slavery.
80% of the slaves are in Central and South America. Most of the slaves did not come to North America. They came.
I already knew that, Lewis.
South and Central America. Now, 80%. Most of us did not come to the Americas. They were in Central and South America. 80% of the slaves. What are you talking about?
Well, you're talking about the 400 years being the curse. So is there somewhere in South America that you'd rather go? Because you're talking about American slavery.
Most of the slaves went to South America. They didn't come to North America. Most of the slaves, 80%, did not come to the Americas. They were in Central and South America.
Okay.
Over 80%.
You're saying the 400-year curse is about America, not about South America.
Yeah, we were scattered abroad. We were scattered to North, Central, South America.
Well, I'm just telling you, where they're calling the Ethiopian Ocean is not in between America. It's the southern part of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to find a better map because that'll show it more clear because I already had a better map on Google. This is the Bing search, but that map's zoomed in more. What I'm trying to say is that they're not defining in between Europe and America, the Atlantic Ocean, as the Ethiopian Ocean. It was only the southern part that was defined in that manner that I saw. I'll have to do more research as far as, exactly what, if they called the entire Atlantic, but so far it's looking primarily the southern. Which matters because if you were saying the prophecy was fulfilled in South America, then it would be different. But you're saying it was fulfilled in American slavery. Again, American slavery didn't start till 1619, and you're saying that we're still in captivity right now when nobody is going to say, see, here it is right here. This is a better map. This is a much better map of what I Googled the first time. See where they're describing the Ethiopian Sea or ocean? This isn't between America and Northern Africa or Israel or Europe. This is between Southern Africa and South America.
No, the Ethiopian Ocean encompasses the North and South America. It encompasses North America and South America.
No, it says right here, Southern Atlantic Ocean in the description. Southern Atlantic, South Atlantic. Yesterday you had me go to Wikipedia to quote Jerome. Now that it says it is separated from the North Atlantic Ocean by a narrow region, right here, but from higher than Brazil. Now I can't trust Wikipedia, even though yesterday we were using it to use Jerome's commentary. It says explicitly it is separated from the North Atlantic Ocean. I was just looking at it visually and noticing it, but this here is telling us, historically what it is, and it's separated from the North Atlantic Ocean. So try again with that one. But go ahead, Jesse. You guys can continue on. I'm just pointing out because I Googled this map.
I mean, this is interesting stuff, and
I
I'm
mean,
just
I learned
listening
something. I'm not going to
because
say
he
I didn't
keeps.
learn something. I did learn something. I'll tip my hat to him and say I did. I never knew that, but
I mean, it's good stuff to know, but it's not going to be the reason we get saved. But it
Mm,
is nice knowing how to counter other concepts he tries to bring out. So that's cool. But I mean, I just don't like wasting time on topics that Christ himself didn't even bring up, Ryan.
mhm. Well, the curses aren't perpetual. He did not prove that at all. When it says there'll be a sign and wonder forever, I don't know who reads that and says, "Oh, that means the curses are going to last forever." Sign and wonder means they happened, and then people are going to talk about them forever.
Yep, yep.
I mean,
And
a sign and a wonder isn't saying, God could have used a lot of different words there. He used a sign and a wonder forever, which, we all know what a sign and a wonder forever is. It's something, 9/11, that's a sign and a wonder. The planes crashing into the towers, a sign and a wonder from terrorists to us forever, all sorts of stuff. The pyramids are a sign and a wonder forever. The Great Wall of China, a sign and wonder forever. The Israelites eating their children, a sign and a wonder for the Israelites forever, because they all tell each other forever about the horrible curse that God brought upon them. It doesn't say that the curses are lasting forever in Deuteronomy 12:46. It doesn't say that at all.
which also, Ryan, that fits perfect. Because I also believe that the curses were already brought forth. They love to go to Matthew's 5:17, where it goes, oh, that Christ, nothing's gonna change, not one jot or tittle, till all be fulfilled, the law and the prophets, right?
Mhm,
If you can, Ryan, do you think you can go to Matthew 7:12? Because
mhm.
just to show this is also done. The prophecies were all done, and the law and the prophets were done. And this is Christ's own words in Matthew 7:12.
All right, we'll go to Matthew 7:12. The prayer and the golden rule. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. I don't think that's what you wanted.
No, yeah, what Christ is saying there, and if you would get like a plainer, like maybe like the NIV version, what
Mhm,
he's saying is love thy neighbor as yourself, and so fulfill the law and the prophets. That's
mhm,
what Christ is saying. So if you get like an NIV version,
mhm.
you might be able to see it like a little better.
So, in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. This sums up the law and the prophets.
So whenever they try to claim, oh, Christ didn't do away with the law and the prophets, Christ already said that his new law, which was law number two, law number one being love God, law number two being love thy neighbor as thyself, that sums up all the laws and the prophets just by doing that one thing. And that's what Christ came to do, was to do away with the law and the prophets, just like the curses were also done away with when they disobeyed God.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole NATO being in Revelation as the seven horns or whatever. I don't know. I'm baffled by that NATO, you know, interpretation they have too. ETT tried to bring that up to me too.
Well, that's an IUIC breakdown that, there's an IUIC camp that pretty much all the other camps look up to. And what they teach is more like, like the aliens are coming and the spaceship doctrine. So that's where he's getting that from. NATO is going to be the last fight, and then they're going to all join forces to fight Christ when the UFOs come. That's where that doctrine comes from.
What are they talking about? NATO is going to be a fight though. NATO's just a conglomerate of a bunch of nations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea what NATO has to do with anything.
Well, according to IUIC, they also claim that in the Book of Revelations, World War One and Two were prophesied, and it speaks about World War One and World War Two. So, I mean, they're just kind of focused on these prophecies, but as we learned, their 2,000-year prophecy didn't come to pass. So it's like, when are you going to stop trying to predict what's going to happen and just let the scripture tell itself?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all know there was some group that definitely was that IUIC. I know there was one Hebrew Israelite group that was big on the 2000 year thing. They probably didn't blink when it didn't happen, though. I'm sure they did not blink. But look at all these countries that are in NATO. I know there's even more than this. It's tons of countries are in NATO. So where are they talking about this seven-headed thing and so forth? What are they just going to pick out 7 countries that sound good or something? Oh yes, the United States, it's Russia, it's China, it's it's the what other 4 countries sound good? It's like what?
Mhm.
How do you go through this? And NATO's got way more than 7 countries or 4 countries or whatever. I mean, I already knew that, but now that I'm looking at it, it's just ridiculous.
Didn't Christ say, Ryan, that the war isn't carnal, that it's spiritual, with principalities in high places? You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
that war he's talking about is the war within us. That's why Christ was saying the kingdom is within you. If the kingdom is within you, then hell also must be within you, because we have a choice to do good or evil.
Hmm.
So that war we have to battle is the war within ourselves.
Hmm.
That's why Christ keeps saying, love thy neighbor and so fulfill the law of Christ. Because
Hmm.
when you're a good person and you treat people good and kind, that's all Christ ever wanted. One West likes to turn this into, a physical war with tanks, and Christ is going to come like a superhero and bust through the tanks. And no,
Hmm.
that's not going to happen. The war is spiritual now.
Well, look, it even says that NATO was founded by 12 countries and currently has 30 members. So where are they getting these numbers of 7 and 4 or whatever? Lewis, what's the prophecy again about NATO? What's the Revelation prophecy, Lewis, that had NATO in it? I want to see how it relates to 12 countries founding it and 30 current members.
Yeah, I got you. 1 second.
Revelation. I know you wrote a book upon this or something. Yeah, the whole just love thy neighbor like thyself would be a lot easier than trying to make yourself the Hebrew Israelites and make yourself better than everybody else and exalt yourselves, which breaks about 100 times. Christ said, don't exalt yourself, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and also the fact that only a remnant of Israelites are going to be saved. There's not no great multitude of um as the number of the stars in the sand sea. Only a small remnant of Israelites are going to be saved. And the sad thing is, the reason is because look, they've reawakened, and where do they run to? To the side of hate. Well, now all the nations are going to be beat up and tortured and turn into slaves in the kingdom. That's nonsense, brother. Like, Christ never even preached that type of thing.
No, no, we did not. Uh, what is it, Lois? Is it Revelation 13? Is that where we were? Trying to find this NATO theory.
Yeah, Lewis is trying to find a verse that's gonna match somewhat what he's trying to spew. And it doesn't matter if the verse is in the book of Genesis, it doesn't matter if it's in the book of Malachi. As
Mm.
long as the phrase is somewhat similar, he's gonna go for it.
I
And
can't
that's not
Okay, I'm
believe.
back.
Okay. Go ahead. What's the verse in Revelation about NATO? Just so we can see. 17 or 18? Is that where it's around?
Go to Revelations 11 and 14.
That's where it is about NATO?
Yeah, Revelations 11 and 14.
11 and 14. Okay. Because there's 12 founding members of NATO and there's 30 members today. So I want to see where this has anything to do with NATO. 11:14. You say? The second well is, wait, what verse did you say? 11 what?
14.
11:14. The second well is past, the third well is coming.
Yeah, the third war. What was his third World War III? Read that again. I'm sorry.
Well, this is in the NIV. The second woe has passed. The third.
Yeah, the
woe.
second war. The second was World War II. We don't want to
What does
prove
that
that.
have to do with NATO?
Yeah, so the two wars is World War I and II. The third war coming quickly is the World War III. So the first trumpet, there's 7 trumpets. The first trumpet is World War I. The second trumpet is World War II. The third trumpet was the Chernobyl nuclear reaction incident. The fourth trumpet is the days being shortened. The fifth trumpet is the Persian Gulf
Whoa,
War.
whoa! You're not going to just slip that in there. You said something about the Russian Chernobyl or whatever nuclear incident is the
Get
third.
him, Ryan. Get him.
Yeah, I'll repeat that if I could.
Yeah, please.
The first trumpet, the 7 trumpets that blown. The first trumpet is World War I. The second trumpet was World War II. You just ran most of it. The second will end because that will come as quickly. The third trumpet is the Chernobyl nuclear reaction incident. That was the third trumpet. The fifth trumpet is the first Persian Gulf War. The sixth trumpet is the World War III. And the seventh trumpet is the return of Christ himself, Jesus the Christ himself. So we add the sixth.
What is the name of the second grader that came up with these the breakdowns on Revelation? Do you know if it was Billy Johnson from Miss Williams' second grade class? Was that who it was? Who wrote these down?
Well, the king of the bottomless pit was Wilhelm Kaiser. Wilhelm Kaiser was the emperor of Wilhelm Kaiser.
But don't you understand? It's like me saying, "Oh, the third trumpet was the Vietnam War. The fourth trumpet was the Desert Storm. You know, the fifth trumpet was 9/11." Like you can just make things up. I mean, you're throwing in the nuclear incident in Russia that like half the world nobody even blinked about. Like it only affected the poor people in Russia that suffered because of it, but the rest of the world didn't even blink. Half the people in America didn't even think it happened. Like even World War I and World War II, like I don't believe those had anything to do with the trumpets either. But at least they're major events. Like at least like the people that come up with these theories are at least trying to sound logical. But then they're just going to throw in.
I'll give you the source. It's Irvin Baxter's work, who was
Who is he?
Reverend.
I gotta Google this guy right now. Urban Baxter.
Yeah.
Where did this character come from? Is he from the 19? He's got to be from the 1900s, obviously, because he's been alive for all these things. Urban Baxter. He died in 75. So how did he come up with the Chernobyl? How, if it's his theory, Lewis, could he talk about the Russian? Did that? I don't even think that happened by 1975. Did it?
Can I give it to you?
Yeah, but
The proof that's the Chernobyl incident.
Yeah, when did that happen? I don't believe that was before 75, was it?
Yeah, go to Revelations, the third trumpet, Revelations chapter 8, 10 through 11.
Yeah, Lewis, excuse me. Where did you get this from? Like, where did this concept, these ideas come from?
I just said Irvin Baxter, who was a reverend.
And he came up with this concept?
He's one of my sources. I quote my book. Go to Revelations.
Yeah,
8.
the question, did he come up with this through Bible scriptures, or was it an idea he had, like kind of like a prophecy he had?
He explains it in detail. I quote him in my book. So let me prove that this is the third trumpet was the Chernobyl nuclear reaction incident. Let me prove that. Revelation chapter 8, 10 through 11.
That didn't happen until 1986.
Yeah.
The guy was dead in 1975.
Mm-hmm. He predicted it. It was correct.
He predicted it. He predicted it.
Yeah.
He predicted it.
Oh man, Lewis, you don't even try to like say you're
I'm about
wrong.
to prove it, bro.
No, hold on, Lewis. Show us the writing where he predicted this. I want to hear what he said.
Oh man, I spelled this guy's name right? Urban Baxter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, check if you could look up Urban Baxter predicts the Cheryl.
Sure.
No, brother, let me break it down real quick before you do that.
Brother, if he predicted this should be a trending topic.
No, let me just, I'm going to break it down for you if I could. Real quick, if I could just say one thing before you do that.
Go ahead. I'm just Googling. We could do twice at once.
Yeah, give me Revelation chapter 8. Let me break down Revelation 8 real quick.
Hold on. Let me Google this. Third trumpet. Okay, hold on. Oh, I spelled his name wrong the first time. Maybe it is somebody different. Because it says Irvin Baxter. I wrote Irvin Baxter. Somebody else. Hold on, Lewis. Maybe the guy was alive. Let me work with you here. Irvin Baxter. I spelled his. I had a Irvin Baxter because I thought that's what you said. Irvin Baxter. Let's see who this Irvin Baxter character is. No, this guy lived. He lived. He was alive for it. So he probably just
I go to it's all over the internet, like you said.
he probably just watched it happen and then decided
You go to Revelation 8:10 through 11 real quick.
This is don't you think this man is an Edomite, Lewis?
He taught me this prophecy, but Revelation 8:10 through 11.
Whoa. So you're saying a Gentile taught an Israelite the Bible?
The Bible says the children of this world have become brighter than the children of light. So that answers that. So
yeah, show me that. Hold on, wait. Can you show me that verse? Because that's a very good verse there.
Oh, okay.
That the children of what have become brighter than who?
The children. This said the Gentiles become brighter. He said they were wiser than Daniel.
Yeah, I doubt this guy predicted the incident. He probably just claimed it was the third trumpet after it happened. So I don't even think there's a need to really waste my time Googling much more about it. But I could.
Can I just elaborate on that real quick?
All right. Yeah. Show us a verse, Lewis.
Revelations 8:10 through 11.
All right. I got 100 tabs open here. Revelations 8:10 through 11. Okay.
KJV.
All right. We'll go to the KJV.
So let's prove this is the Chernobyl.
Okay.
It's the Chernobyl incident. The Chernobyl nuclear reaction incident.
Okay.
The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water.
So Revelations 8 and 11.
Oh, that was 8:10. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, 10 to 11. Yeah.
I thought you said
excuse me, Lewis. That's saying that whatever incident happened, it destroyed a third of the waters, and
I'm about to break it down. Hold on.
And many men died of the waters.
Yeah, I'm about
Did
to
that
break it down,
happen
brother.
during that? Okay, all right.
Upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water.
Revelations 8:10 to 11.
Okay, that was verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
Yeah, this is the Chernobyl nuclear reaction incident. So let's prove that real quick.
What came from outer space to cause that incident, Lewis? Because it says, and there fell a great star from heaven.
Yeah. So Chernobyl.
That's a good point,
hold on, brother. Brother, let me break it down.
Okay.
So it says,
what fell from heaven? What
the name of the star is called Wormwood, right?
Mm-hmm.
The word Chernobyl means wormwood in Russian. So where it says, and the name of the star is called Wormwood. The word Chernobyl literally means wormwood in Russian, right? And the definition of wormwood is bitter.
Brother, it said it fell from the sky into the sea and into the waters. Did the Chernobyl accident fall from the sky, or did it happen on land?
So it says, and there fell a great star from heaven. An academic by the name of M.A. Sizzlegross claimed in 1980 that nuclear power stations are like stars that shine all day long, right? So the star
Brother, they tell kids that in first grade that they're shining stars. Does that mean, like, you can't take and mash certain slogans and words and try to make a doctrine, brother? Where in the Bible, well, question, when this Chernobyl accident happened, did it affect a third of the waters on the earth?
Yeah, it says,
yeah, it does.
And there fell a great star from heaven.
No, the Chernobyl accident, did that affect, when that nuclear reactor, whatever it's called, when that happened, the accident, Did it affect a third of the waters on earth?
Yeah, I got it here. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountain waters. And I quote, the explosion at Chernobyl blew radioactive gas and dust high into the atmosphere in a mile-high cloud, where winds dispersed across Finland, Sweden, Central Asia, and Southern Europe. 600 million to 800 million firefighters and rescue workers came from all over the former Soviet Union to put out the fire. Many of these people are now dead,
800
disabled, or
million
conditions.
firefighters came?
600,000, 800,000 firefighters and
Oh,
emergency workers came from all over the city. Okay. And it says that many men died in the waters. Over 7 million people were affected. The most heavily affected areas were Belarus, Russia, Ukraine. In the country of Belarus, 1/3 of the population died. Sheep in northern England and reindeer in La Pond had to be killed as they had been irradiated, right? Let's keep going. Over 63,000 square miles of land have been affected. Much land should no longer be used for agriculture. However, 4.5 million children and adults are still living in contaminated land. Okay.
But why don't you like you could just say the atomic bomb was one of the like there's so many ways people could just make up their own theories. Like we all know it was a terrible disaster, but half the world didn't even blink about it, man. The only people that
mhm.
like actually cared or knew were the people around it. I mean, most people in America in 1986 were just on Wall Street doing cocaine. They didn't care. They didn't stop their lives. This wasn't like Third of the Rivers. This wasn't a star from heaven. This wasn't on TV as this major event. I mean, come on, Lewis. Like, this is just making something fit a narrative that is, the best argument they had is the fact that it's called mugwort, which means worm, is a form of wormwood. That's the closest this guy got. This Irvin Baxter, this TV preacher who wanted to make it, part of
Mhm.
Revelation. It means
And Lewis,
mugwort in Ukrainian, which is a form of wormwood. I mean, that's just a reach and a reach.
And then he mentioned 4.5 million people were affected. What percentage is that of 8 billion? I mean, that's not even near 33. That's like maybe 2%, 1%, maybe.
No, not even 1% would be 400. That would be 450 million. Be 1%. I mean, we're not even talking point. We're talking point. Point zero
Point
zero
zero
zero.
zero zero zero. Yeah. So that's
I mean, I got
yeah. So
50
that's a
tabs
reach too.
open. Yeah, I got 50 tabs open trying to debunk all these theories that Lewis has brought up tonight.
Yeah. So
At the end of the day, Lewis, I just hope at some point you start like learning to say like you might not be right. Maybe it's better to
mm,
say I don't know.
good point.
For any man on earth to act like they know what the four leopards, the leopard and the four, in Daniel, the prophecy we went to, you're saying the leopard's Alexander the Great because he was wearing leopard skin. Well, why wasn't it Paris Hilton? Because she liked leopard skin too. I mean, it's just like, you could go all sorts of directions with these things, man. And again, it's sad if you actually just believe these people that are telling you these things. I mean, if you're coming up with them on your own, it's bad enough. But if you're believing other people saying these things, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then what's sad too is that now it's almost like he's creating these fake like doctrines to try to like fix what he's claiming, and then now it's turning into a ball of confusion. But he's still fighting to protect this false doctrine. So there comes a time, Lewis, where you have to ask yourself, are you going to follow men or are you going to follow Christ? Christ being the word of God. You have to stop just listening to these people and read the book yourself, because your method of trying to prove your points is you're basically mashing up verses that have nothing to do with each other. And that's a bad way to do the Bible. Actually, I think it's in the book of Isaiah 28:15, where God prophesies, precept upon precept, line upon line, shall be a trap and a snare, and you would fall backwards. God prophesied that.
Lynn, I mean, good night, Lynn, by the way, good night, Lynn. But Diane has a great point. Lewis, did you get this from The Simpsons? Is that where all these Revelation verses came from? Diane probably hit the nail on the head there. It was in The Simpsons.
No, I wrote a book called Soviet Tribulation, Preach to Rapture, and one
Uh,
with the biblical prophecy, where I go into how the 7 trumpet seals, and I go into how the rapture is biblical. So that's an excerpt from one of my books I wrote.
I know you wrote a book on it, Lewis, but I also know that you quoted Revelation 12:1-6 as evidence that you're a Hebrew Israelite. And we could go back to those verses if you want, because I don't
Sorry.
think they have anything to do with anyone. 12:1-12:6 is where you took me, right? Isn't that about the dragon too? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't
And the
know.
dragon represents the Roman Empire when the Romans came to sack Jerusalem and scattered us into West Africa. So
So
it says
excuse me,
the
Lewis.
dragon.
When Job said, "I'm a brother to dragons," does that prove Job is an Edomite?
Excellent point. Yes, it proves that. I know that verse. I'll bring it
Okay,
out.
well, you know, God chose him as one of his favorites, right?
Yeah, there's that verse saying even if Daniel, Job, and somebody, right? Right. I'm trying to think. I'll get that verse, but God says even if Daniel, Job, and they
Yeah,
can't.
that
That's
they
saying,
can't save like their own sons.
yeah,
That's a good one, Ryan. That's a good one.
Daniel, Job, and Noah.
You know, that's the point
Ezekiel,
Jesse just brought up. It says that
Ezekiel
Job
14,
said he was a brother to dragons. Instead, he was an Edomite. It was an excellent point he just brought up.
So if he's an Edomite, then what's up with all the Israelite only? Is it just because he preceded Israel or something?
Yeah, that's a good point, Lewis.
Job was the first book of the Bible ever written. It was the first book that was written.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm sure Jesse was too.
Yeah. Esau hadn't broke the brotherly covenant yet in Amos, the first chapter. It was before after they broke the brotherly covenant.
I'm in the wrong verse here.
Yeah, but Lewis, do you think the Israelites broke the brotherly covenant when they killed Christ?
So let's dive into that.
Ezekiel 14:14 says, though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should
What
deliver
verse you in?
own souls by their righteousness, saith the Lord God. It's just God speaking about even if
What verse you in?
Ezekiel 14:14.
Okay, read that again.
It's saying, I'll read the verse before it so people understand it more. Son of man, when the land sinneth against me by trespassing grievously, then will I stretch out mine hand upon it, and will break the staff of the bread thereof, and will send famine upon it, and will cut off man and beast from it. Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, saith the Lord God. So that's just proving that Job, Daniel, and Noah were really, really high up there as far as, who, God determined to be righteous. And you just said, Job was an Edomite. We have you on record saying that now.
Yep.
I'll go down to verse 22.
Which Ryan, that
Yeah.
also proved that Job couldn't have been that long because he was a son of Jacob. I mean, he was a son of what's his name, Isaiah. So he wasn't that far in the past either.
And Job, they say it was around 1900 BC or so. I don't know. Those dates are all estimates. Obviously, Abraham around 2000 BC, around there, 2100, 2000, whatever. But they say Job's around 1900 BC. So, I don't know. I don't know, Lewis. I mean, if he was an Edomite, then that means he had to come after Abraham had, Isaac and Jacob, clearly. So, think about the fact that he's not an Israelite. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, and this is just another verse repeating the same phrase, a couple verses down, 6 verses down. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith the Lord God, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. So we know God is definitely a fan of Noah, Daniel, and Job. So if he's an Edomite, now if I ever get sound effects, Lewis, I'm gonna have to put that on a sound bite where you just said Job is an Edomite, and I'll just hit a button one of these days, and they'll say Job was an Edomite.
Well, I mean, some people say it wasn't. There was multiple Job. We had a Job from the tribe of Issachar.
All right.
Jobab. There was a couple Job. We had a Job from the tribe of Levi. So, some people say he was Israelite.
All right. See, he had to backtrack off of that one. Now that I said I was going to,
There was a Job from. Let me get that real quick.
Yeah, we know there's tons of Jobs in the Bible. I confuse them all myself, Lewis. There's so many Jobs. Come on, man. Come on, man. Just tap out. Like you're one of those guys, like an MMA guy would be choking him out, and he'd be like, "Come on, man, just tap. I don't want to put you to sleep, but you got to go to sleep. That's the only way the match ends. If you're going against Lewis, he will not tap out. He will. He says, "Put me to sleep." He will not tap out. It's like I forget what movie it was. Or I don't know. Well, I remember watching old UFC and Hoist Gracie or whatever. He broke a guy's arm while the guy was tapping out, and that reminds me of Lewis because it's like Lewis rather you break his arm than tap out.
Yeah,
Wants the ref.
and then Ryan, just to prove that Job was around the time of Abraham, because when you read Job chapter 2 verse 11, it says, and when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that were come upon him, they came everyone from his own place, Eliphaz the Temanite
Mhm.
and Bildad the Shuhite. Now Eliphaz the Temanite is in the lineage of Esau. In Genesis 36, it says, and these are the generations of Esau, and the sons of Eliphaz were Teman. Those were the Temanites. When you read Genesis 36, verse 34, and Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temani reigned in his stead, which was Eliphaz, the Temanites people. So those were Edomites, brother. So that proves Job was during the time of Abraham.
Wow. That is biblical evidence right there, Lewis. You cannot get away from.
Go to my phone's about to die. Go to
Jesse just
Genesis
very
46 and
valid
13.
point for everybody watching. If you ever deal with the Hebrew Israelite, show them Job 2:11, Eliphaz the Temanite, and then go to Genesis 36:34 to show.
Yep.
Eliphaz.
Genesis 36, 34, and Genesis 36 and 10 and verse 11.
Genesis 46 and 13.
Okay, Genesis 46 and 13. I still can't believe that you tried to say that 400 years wasn't about the Israelites in Egypt, but the Israelites in America. That's just, well, the supposed Israelites in America, sorry. Okay, Genesis 46:14, and the sons of Zebulun,
13.
13, and the sons of Issachar,
Yeah.
Tola, Puvan, and Job, and Shimron.
And Job. You see, Issachar had a son named Job. So, of course, some people say that was the Job of the Job.
So that's the argument that it was Issachar's son, Job?
Most Hebrew Israelites will tell you that was the son of Issachar. It was another Jobab. It was another Job. My computer's not working
Brother,
right now.
Job used to hang with Eliphaz, the Temanite, who was an Edomite, brother. And that was his closest friend. So you're trying to tell me that an actual Israelite was hanging with a Edomite as his best friend?
I see my phone's down and my computer's not working.
That says they're in Egypt, too. It says those who came to Egypt. Was Job in Egypt?
You talking about Job from Issachar?
Yeah, because the name of the chapter is those who came to Egypt.
Oh.
All Hebrew Israelite did is Google Job or on the Blue Letter or something, and then they found the word Job somewhere. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's so many different similar names. That's like finding one Zechariah or something, or one any name and running with it.
And then the book of in Genesis 36, when it has Esau's lineage, it ends with Job dying and his Temanite friend taking his reign. And it's funny how in the book of Job, his best friend is Eliphaz the Temanite. So
yeah, where's the coincidence? That's more than a coincidence.
Yeah, I got one more verse. First Chronicles 1:23.
Wait, what verse? First Chronicles what?
1:23. My phone's done.
All right. 1 and 23 genealogy from Adam. descendants genealogy from Adam. Okay. Yeah, but that's Jobab. That's a totally different name.
Yeah, and
Oh,
also
and
verse 22.
Ryan, Lewis, wait 1 second, Ryan. The book of Job in the first chapter says that Job was from the land of Uz. You could do me a favor. Can you Google
Hold on,
the
brother. You cut
daughters?
me off, brother. You can go there
Well, I
next.
know. Wait. Excuse me, Ryan. Google daughters of Esau in the land of Uz and watch where that verse is.
All right. Daughters of Esau. All right, I'll Google it because this is on Bing, like I said. Daughters of Esau in land of Uz.
Yep, UZ.
Yep. Yep.
And that's the same land that Job was from. In the first chapter, it says Job from the land of Uz. Yeah, but try not to find it in the book of Job. It's in the New Testament where it says that the daughter of Edom were from the land of Uz.
All right. Yeah, the first thing it came up, daughters of Esau in land of Uz, was Esau's line, Genesis 36. Then
There's a verse
there's
in the
one
New
in
Testament.
Jeremiah, Lamentations 4:21.
Yeah,
Rejoice.
that's the one. Lamentations 4:21.
All right, so Jeremiah is speaking here in Lamentations 4:21. All right. All right, Lamentations 4:21. We have rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup
That's
also.
the
Yep, go ahead.
That's the same land that Job chapter 1 says that Job is from. He's from the land of Uz.
Mm.
So he's from the land of the Edomites. His best friend is a Temanite, which is one of the sons of Esau. But yet, Lewis is claiming that he's of the tribe of Issachar.
Let's prove that. Now he could have been Israelite, and I prove why. You say there were Jews living in Uz, amongst the Edomites. Let's prove that. Hello.
Yeah, but do you realize, Lewis, Job was the richest, most powerful man in the land of Uz, which
So it
was the
said,
land of the
hold
Edomites?
on, Ryan,
So
real quick. Go to Job
you're
30.
claiming
Job
that an
chapter 30.
Israelite was the richest man in the land of Esau?
Yeah, certainly. Give me Job 30. So he could have been an Israelite living amongst Edomites.
Job 30, you want?
Yeah. And I gotta fall off because my phone down.
All right.
You
Job
go live
30.
tomorrow?
Yeah, probably.
All right, if I'm available, I'll come on.
Yeah.
He could have been an Israelite living amongst Edom. Because, let's look at this.
I still have the 12 judges thing because.
Yeah, I'm going to fall off because I'm on my phone.
What verse? What verse?
1 through 3. Let's see what Job said about the people who were living in
Job's
Uz.
present state is humiliating, but now that they are younger than I, have me in derision. Oh, excuse me, let me read that again. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Right. It says, he said there were people whose fathers he would have disdained to have set the dogs of his flock. Meaning they were, they were like lowly to him, right? So he could have been a Jew living amongst Edomites at the time.
Brother, that doesn't even say that. Like, that's just basically saying that his forefathers aren't living righteously. That's all that's saying. And to not even look at all the evidence, it says he's from the land of the Edomites. His best friend is an Edomite. He said he's the brothers of dragons, which you said are the Edomites. So there's all this just massive evidence pointing to him being
Uncle's
an
brother, the
Edomite.
dragon, that could be Jacob, because Jacob was Esau's brother. When he says he was a brother of dragons, he could be saying, I'm an Israelite, the brother of Esau.
So show me a verse where the Israelites are called dragons.
Oh, I say he says he's the brother of dragons. Esau was Jacob's brother.
I don't know, Ryan. Ryan, he's
He
reaching.
doesn't tap out. You got to break his arm. It's like it's like Hoyce Gracie had to snap that guy's arm. That's Lewis. You'll have him in an arm bar, and you'll say, "Come on, man, just tap out. I'll break it if you don't tap." And then next thing you know, he refuses to tap out, and he's walking out of the ring with a sling on, and he's brushing his teeth with his other hand, and
The sad thing is, if the shoe was on the other foot and he had these tons of evidence, he would have been just
Damn
going crazy on us and calling us idiots. And it's sad, Lewis, because we're showing you the verses, we're giving you where to find it, but you're still not accepting it. So there's nothing much more we can do.
Yeah, I mean, you can't try to defend the doctrine even when it doesn't make sense. You got to just address, things that make sense, and if they don't make sense, just agree to learn from it, and say, well, maybe this whole doctrine doesn't make sense, because that's what I would do. If one thing didn't make sense, that would draw my attention. If two things didn't make sense, I'd start to get skeptical, and if three things or more started to not make sense, I would really start to question it. Really hard. And it's up to you. If you think there's not abundant salvation verses for everybody, that's one thing. If you think there's no people besides Israelites being saved in the Bible, that's the second thing. And we could just keep breaking things down in that manner about this doctrine. The Deuteronomy 28:68 being about the transatlantic slave trade, and all these curses being about people in America, and not. I mean, let me ask you, Lewis, if you're still on here, is Deuteronomy 28:68 the only curse about the Israelites in America, or other curses about Americans too that are supposedly Israelites?
Yeah, the whole July 28 is all 615 through 68 is all the curses we will come on.
Yeah, but that's impossible, Lewis, because some of those curses were going to happen on their land, in
Yeah,
the land of Israel.
yeah, they were getting invaded. They were getting invaded in Deuteronomy 48 through 53. The nation was invading them, taking their cattle, to breaking down their fortified walls. Not only is Jesse got a great point that you can't get around, because some of those curses are about what would happen in the modern day Israel, but people were eating their children, Lewis. I mean, and that happened. And God said he would never do that again. In Ezekiel 5, he says, he's going to do something that he'll never do again, talking about the Israelites eating their children. So that curse can't happen in America. So, I mean, there's just too many curses that can't happen in America for you to say that all the curses are. I mean, I've seen these guys, these jokes, these Sons of Thunder jokes, not Sons of Thunder, Sons of Jacob out of Oklahoma, that one group I have a video on. They try to say, see, look, it says, God says you Deuteronomy 28:16 or one of those, you'll be cursed in the city. And they try to use that. They say, doesn't, aren't Americans being cursed in the city? They say, brother, to somebody on the street, brother, aren't we being cursed in the city right now? Like, look at this. They'll take something like this, Deuteronomy 28:16, curse shall thou be in the city, and curse shall thou be in the field. And they'll try to apply this to them, their lives in America, to try to use this as proof that they're Israelites. Tell me, I mean, if a Chinese guy or somebody in Vietnam, an Asian guy in Vietnam wanted to say, I'm picking rice in a rice field all day, I'm cursed in the city, does he have a right to start calling himself an Israelite too? Because he's picking rice in Vietnam in the field all day? Can he say, look, God's talking about me as an Israelite because it says I'm cursed in the city and in the
Brother,
field?
what are you talking about? Go to verse 64.
What am I talking about? I'm talking about people that use
Oh,
this.
all the curses are in the land. No, it's not. We verse 64.
Oh, really? Not. Oh, we didn't say all. Well, not all of them. We said some of them are definitely in the land. I don't.
So let's
think
look at some curses that are not in the land. Verse 64.
Well, first you'd have to look at curses that are in the land.
No, but you say, all the curses occur in the land.
We didn't say all. Nobody put the word all in there.
Because that would be obtuse. Verse 64.
All right, we'll look at 64, but we didn't say all. We said some of them occur in the land. You can play the tape back. Because they're getting invaded. Right here, they're getting invaded. See, their cattle and the fruit of their land is getting taken.
Verse 64?
See their
Yeah,
gates
Ryan.
besieged, Lewis?
Verse 64.
Yeah, Lewis, let me ask Ryan real
No,
quick.
hold on, no. Let me finish my point. You guys have a question.
Okay, we'll go to 64 for you. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
Amongst all people. So we're not in the land. What are you talking about? We're scattered amongst all people. How are we in the land?
What do you mean?
If I scattered you amongst all people, how am I in Israel if we're scattered?
Okay, that's a curse, but it doesn't say anything about the fact that you're going to get your gates besieged and your cattle are going to get taken and all that. How is that curse not happening in the land, Lewis, in 48 through 53?
I just showed you the curse that we will be scattered abroad amongst the nations. How's that in the land where we're scattered?
Excuse me, Lewis. Can
Go
I
ahead.
ask you something, please?
Yes.
Ryan, in the same Genesis 28, can you grab verse 14? I want him to break that down because this is in the curses chapter.
Okay. I also
And
want Lewis to tell us what other gods the Israelites are serving now, because if they're serving Jesus, then they'd be serving the same God of the Bible. So, what other gods are you serving in that verse you just brought up, Lewis? What's the gods the Israelites are serving? Because it's saying they're serving idols, wood and stone, and other gods. What are the gods? Don't you think this applies to the ancient people that were worshiping idols? What idols are people worshiping today? Are they talking about the Muslims, Lewis, that worship the rock? Because this talks about worshiping idols in this verse that you talked about, people scattered and worshiping other gods. So, are the only people I can think of today that worship images and idols are the Muslims, because they bow down to that big rock. So, is this verse about the Muslims?
It says wood and stone. Wood could represent Christianity. So they throw Christianity out because the wood represents the cross, worshiping Christianity. So throw Christianity out.
So Jesus Christ being the Son of the Father and being the Word of God that actually wrote this verse is talking about people worshiping Him. No, the Muslims are the only people I know today. Maybe
What are you talking about? Wood and stone? If you say stone's the Kaaba, wood represents Christianity, right? I mean, that's what you're trying to
wood
say.
represents Christianity.
The wood is not Christian. The cross isn't the cross a wooden.
The cross is made out of wood, but people don't in Christianity
People do worship the cross. People wear a cross around their neck. If you ever been on Cherry Love show, she has a giant cross behind her on her icon. She has a cross on her neck. People wear crosses around their necks and pray to the cross.
Worshiping that item.
Hold on, Catholic priests anoint people with the cross. Literally take the.
What about Muslims that bow down to the rock, Lewis? Are they worshiping an idol?
We don't worship the cobblestone. We don't worship it.
Oh, really?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Wow,
in fact,
Ryan,
I know
that's
people.
a good point, Ryan, because he's a Muslim.
We'll have to get a
that
video
stone,
of worshiping
that stone One West claims is Islam, and that's what you follow, Ryan.
Not me.
I mean, no, Ryan. I mean, not Ryan. Lewis. Yeah. Lewis. One West teaches that stone is Islam. So, do you agree with that part of the doctrine?
There's different sects of Islam who have different beliefs.
No, One West teaches that stone is symbolic to Islam. Do you agree with what One West teaches?
No.
But do you agree with the rest of what they teach?
Yes.
So you just think.
Oh man, that was classic.
Yeah, Lewis is cool. Ryan, could you
hold
please
on.
go to verse
I'll go to
14?
Genesis 28:14. I'll go to that. I just want to get this Muslim bowing.
Furthermore, if I can respond to that before you go there.
All right. Yeah. We're gonna go to Jesse's first, but I just wanted. Lewis says this isn't Muslims worshiping. What are these people doing in this video, Lewis? What are they doing here? Are they? Oh no, we gotta just get a video of them.
Well, first of all, Lewis,
we'll go to Genesis 28:14 first, but then we'll watch a video to see if what those people are doing at that rock is considered worship. I have a feeling some people might view it in that manner, but anyways.
Yeah, I just wanted to go here real quick, but I would definitely like to see that rock video.
Yeah, just to see if Muslims are potentially worshiping an idol or not. But and
thy
seed shall be as the dust of the earth.
Yep.
This one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south, and thee in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
What seed is that speaking of, Lewis?
That's the northern kingdom. Let's prove that.
Brother, Galatians 3:16 says, and to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He says, not as to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Christ. That seed is coming through a lineage that's going to save the world, brother. That's what that's talking about.
I thought Jesus didn't have a lineage. I thought his mother was a virgin.
Brother,
He's a descendant of David, but he's not David's son from his loins.
To make that make sense, does he have a physical father or not?
No, his physical father is God, if anything, if you want to say he has a physical
Okay, unfortunately, my phone's down. I'm going to pick up on this tomorrow.
Okay.
When I come tomorrow, right? We're going to show her in Genesis, right? Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead and
We're going
talk.
to show you how the northern tribes were the Gentiles in Genesis
brother,
20.
in the Torah, Israelites aren't scattered yet. So
Yeah, they
there
were.
was a 1,000-year period that there was a law for the strangers. So during that 1,000 years, all those strangers that joined themselves, like the Gibeonites, Ruth, Rahab, Jethro, those were non-Israelites, and they were able to join. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean Caleb that we brought up yesterday, he was a Kenzanite. He was son of a Kenzanite. I mean he ended up in the tribe of Judah, but I mean his dad was a Kenzanite.
Yep. And the king of Persia, Cyrus,
Yep.
he held God's right hand.
Yeah.
God called him his Messiah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean he used him as his instrument, and he chose him. And he all Cyrus did was rebuild the temple and get the Jews out of slavery, who were in exile from slavery. The
Yeah.
black stone of Kaaba. I mean, Lewis, I don't think it's even necessary, but we can show you these Muslims. They're the ones you're talking about in that Deuteronomy 28:68 verse or 64 verse. I think he jumped off.
Yeah. And what's funny, Ryan, is Muslims they make a promise that in order for them to get to the kingdom, they have to go to that stone and
Mhm.
walk around it, I think, 7 times and kiss it.
Wow. Wow. And kiss it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he claims that's not worshiping.
Yeah, we didn't say every curse had to be in Israel. We said some of the curses. That's for a fact too. I know we didn't say all the curses. He's just trying to reach as usual and had to try to make some sort of way out. But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, the fact that the curses occurred in Israel, half of them, or a good portion of them, and well, a good portion of them. I won't say half of them because then I'm just throwing out numbers like Lewis. But yeah, I mean, the curses happened in Israel because they're getting attacked and their gates are getting besieged, their cattle are getting taken, and we could go to other verses and we could go through the 44 curses and see which ones happened in Israel or not. But the same point I have here is when he tries to say that wood is Christianity, that's just blasphemy because it's the same God right in the verse. Christ is the word of God right in this verse. So you're saying,
Mhm.
the Lord's saying they shall worship other gods, and Christ is a idol all of a sudden when he's the word writing the verse. I mean, he just
Mhm.
throws out things that are blasphemy. I mean, a Hebrew Israelite that's not a Muslim wouldn't say what he just said there, but yeah, the Muslims are the ones that worship these idols, wood and stone, and we know it's not exclusively to wood and stone because it can be anything, referring to an idol. That's what the verse is implying. But the Muslim worshiping that rock, I mean, totally fits, the fact that it's an idol. So,
Mhm.
he's the one in the religion that has idolatry in it, not anybody else. So why he would go to 64 as a proof of what he's trying to prove is bizarre because he's in a Muslim faith that worships
Mhm.
idols.
That literally worships a stone. That's called in denial. He's in denial big time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I mean, the fact they try to ignore this last sentence in Deuteronomy 28:68, and no man shall buy you, and act like that doesn't matter when they're trying to make it the transatlantic slave trade is just bizarre, because we all have visions in our head of the people standing on auction blocks, male and female, getting sold in the transatlantic slave trade. So
Yeah, they take what suits them and they throw away all the rest. He
yeah,
claimed that he follows these leaders of One West, but every single One West camp teaches the stone is Islam. Every single One West camp.
that was so funny when he said, do you agree with him on that? And he's like, no. And then you go, do you agree with him on everything else? He goes, yes. That was hysterical.
Yeah, but that shows you where their head is at, brother. They're literally making this up as they go. And the sad thing is, a lot of untrained Christians are really falling for this. That camp IUIC is doing this thing called Blitz the Church.
Oh yeah.
And they're closing down Christian churches. And you
I've
know what?
seen
I'll tell you this. They have those pastors have nobody to blame but themselves. Because if they
Well,
did a little studying,
well,
you
no,
know,
I know what you're saying. If they just started to study the Bible, they could just rebuttal these guys and show what jokes they are to begin with. But yeah, you want to know what the new thing is that I saw too, because I just clicked on a random IUIC video doing exactly what you said, going to Creflo Dollar's church, who I'm not familiar with who he is. I honestly just heard his name in the past, and then actually after watching the video, I watched a couple videos to try to figure out who he is, and he's just some black pastor in I don't know where, but he's in America somewhere with a big church. But IUIC went to his church, but it was funny watching the video. What I noticed was the new tactic was for the IUIC guy to call Christianity a cult. So the way that we've been calling this, Black Hebrew Israelite or Hebrew Israelite movement a cult, they are now, and especially, well, at least in IUIC, in that video, they're using the same, name to try to call Christianity a cult, just as like, okay, you're going to call us a cult. We're not a cult. We're a religion. We're whatever. We're a birthright, whatever. But you're a cult. Christianity's a cult. So that was something really sneaky. I saw that he said in the video, and you got to pay attention to the subtle things they do, because it's definitely important to see how subtly they sneak stuff in like that. And yeah, IUIC is really out of line, man. They're just going to all these black churches and trying to hand out flyers and cause chaos and raise hell
yeah,
essentially.
yeah, there's a verse that they used to always go to when people would go to their street corners where they were preaching, and they would always say, "Don't build your house on another man's foundation." And that's a verse in the Bible, but yet now they're doing the same thing that they were getting mad at people for. And then another thing that's weird is they're going at these pastors because one of them saying that he was tithing and he sees it's wrong. And they're like, oh, them pastors been stealing you, robbing your money for years. But One West camps charge for every holy day. So if
Yeah,
you go to celebrate the Passover, they're charging you $400
yeah, to celebrate the holy day.
to celebrate the holy day. So they're like the biggest hypocrites.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
insane. That's insane, honestly. Imagine if you had to pay to go to, Easter or Pentecost or Ash Wednesday. If you had to celebrate Ash, it costs you $20 to get into Ash Wednesday at your church. I mean, just imagine. It's bizarre, man. Again, it's like they're starting the same way they're doing that with calling Christianity a cult. They're trying to do the same with the tithing thing, where they're trying to like act like Christianity's where the tithing's going on, when in reality, it's like you said, those groups are where the tithing's going on, because those are the groups that are really charging you. I don't have any mandatory requirement to give money to my church. I mean, my church doesn't demand anything from me. They pass around a plate and I put money in it. But I know Sakari charges $100 a month from ex-members saying it. IUIC, I'm sure, has
Mhm.
astronomical fees. ISUPK, they all have mandatory uh, amounts of money, 100 to whatever each month. And yeah, my church doesn't do that. It's optional. Whatever you want to give. We pass the plate around, and you know,
Christ said it best when the Pharisees were trying to accuse a person of a crime, and Christ told them, "He who is without sin cast the first stone."
mm,
And that's the same thing that's happening now with these camps pointing their fingers at pastors. They're monsters. They charge, they ask for tithes, but yet if your members of your church don't pay to get to the holy day, they're not going to even walk in the building. So you're like forcing mandatory fees, but yet trying to point at the next man for doing the same thing.
imagine
So
not letting a guy in who didn't pay the money. I mean, how many verses does God have on treating the poor right? And you would stop a guy if he didn't have his fee for the Passover or whatever. I mean, and not let him in to celebrate it. I mean, that's just so backwards. But
yeah, but that's what these camps are doing, man. But that's why I thank God people like you, people like J Man, David, a lot of people are waking up.
you got your site going, and you've done a lot of rebuttals that a lot of people are not even familiar with the fact that they go to certain verses, but you have the rebuttals for those verses because you're familiar that they go to them, and now people are seeing like, wow, that verse can actually be disproven just by going to this verse. So it's actually more valuable sometimes, to have somebody that's actually been involved somewhat with them, which I know you never went full on in it, but you were around them enough to at least soak up some of their crazy ideologies. But you
Yeah,
know where to go to. I mean, that the Joseph the father is the most insane thing I ever heard.
same,
When you said that one, I was just like, these guys are just insane. The Joseph
insane, brother.
father doctrine. That's just
And what's
never heard.
sad is Joseph says he never had intercourse. Mary said she never had intercourse. The angel says it. The Holy Spirit says everybody's saying it, but yet they want to say no. Don't look at that. Look at that she called her his husband, and it's like these ludicrous like they try to reach and make things make sense, but it's sad. You have to be totally in a spell to think Joseph had sex with Mary.
Yeah, we counted it the other day. Just in Matthew alone, you got to throw out 8, 9 verses. It's not one verse. They always want to say, well, the word virgin just means young woman. Well, you got to throw out a lot more than just the word virgin. You got to throw out 8, 9 verses, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
like to do when they say that. And not only that, we got to take them to when Jesus says, why do they say, David's the Messiah's father? And right after Jesus says that, it says the people that asked him the questions were like scared to not even ask him another question after he said that. I'll have to Google that verse right now. Because that's like a perfect way to show like, well, Jesus himself is saying, this is red letter. They want to,
Mm-hmm.
Gorilla Hebrew wants to make a song red letter. I mean, and
Red letter.
I can't believe Haddad's only 23 too. That actually blew my mind when somebody said that.
That who's only 23?
Assad of Sakari. I guess
Yeah, he.
he's been doing it since he was 17, 18.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I have a feeling that he's not really with them. Like he follows them because they're like a crew, like a gang almost. But I don't. He has to see all the errors.
No. I thought that too. Because I watched him with like Vocab Malone, and I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, this guy seems like he's real genuine about wanting to just serve God. And I Facebook messaged him like pages of stuff, trying to be like, hey man, I see that you really just want to serve God, blah blah. Boy, was I wrong. He loves it over there, man. He loves it. He's ride or die. He has no urge at all to leave that. And I thought the same thing as you. I think it was him talking to Vocab alone, which kind of like made us both kind of think like, well, this guy seems real genuine. But no, he was. I emailed him mad stuff, and then all he did is not even, act like he wanted to debate me, but then it just had Gorilla Hebrew come out and just call me a white guy who's, a white guy.
Mhm. Yeah, they try to hype the crowd up and bring racism in there. It's the same old circus act. Uh, but the good thing is with Rabbi Lewis, we can see the games they use and the strategies they use, and the average person would get fooled because they would look at them and say, "Wow, he knows all these verses." Yeah, he knows precepts to answer questions. That's all he knows. He doesn't understand the book. He doesn't understand the message, what the gospel was, the reasoning behind God's actions, why God has mercy. He doesn't understand none of those concepts. He just knows what verses to use for certain questions he's asked. That's it.
Let me I'm trying to find this verse. I'm trying to find. You know what verse I'm talking about. I'm trying to find it. I'm having trouble when I'm Googling what I'm trying to Google.
Which one's that, brother?
When they say, okay, here it is. I found it. Mark 12:35. When they say to Christ, I'll just read it right now for people because I don't want to just quote it. I'll just go right to it. Mark 12:35. All right. All right. So here they are. Name of the chapter is go up. Oh, it doesn't really matter. The name of the chapter. Okay. And Jesus answered and said, while he taught in the temple, how say the scribes that Christ is the son of David? For David himself said by the Holy Ghost, the Lord said to my Lord, sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. David therefore himself calleth him Lord. And whence is he then his son? And the common people heard him gladly. And he said unto them in this doctrine, beware of the scribes which love to go in long clothing and love salutations in the marketplace, and the chief seats in the synagogues and the uppermost rooms at feasts, which devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. These shall receive greater damnation. But yeah, this verse right here is just him saying, how come they call David, the the father of Christ? So I don't know why the Hebrew Israelites never think about this verse, because this is Christ himself saying, and Jesus answered and said, but I know in it's in other gospels too, so I'll have to go to it in other gospels, because in these other
Yeah,
gospels,
Ryan.
one of them says, and they were like scared to ask him any more questions afterwards. So here, let me go to these other ones too. So Matthew 22:41. Because I know in other gospels it's after he says it, they're like afraid to ask him any more questions, even. It says that. Okay, so while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, saying, what think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? They say unto him, the son of David. He saith unto them, how then doth David in spirit call him Lord, saying, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand, till I make thine enemies thy footstool. If David then call him Lord, how is he his son? And no man was able to answer him a word, neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. So that's in the KJV, the language there, neither durst.
Wow.
They're saying, no. So I'll go to a different, translation. So just like
Yeah,
in the
that's a good point though, Ryan. It's a real
yeah,
good point.
well, it's just Christ himself saying it, So it's like, why do they say Christ is the son of David? And Jesus himself is telling the Pharisees, why do you call me the son of David? He said,
Mhm.
David speaking by the Spirit calls him Lord. For he says, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until, and this is a great Trinity verse too,
Mhm.
definitely
Yep.
use this. We do always bring up this Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand verse, like I do. I know you do in the Trinity discussions. But we should go to this part where Christ said it, not Paul said it. I think this is obviously more persuasive.
Yeah, because they hate Paul's they hate anything Paul says.
Yeah, and if you go to where Jesus himself said it, it'll be more persuasive because it's not only because literally it's Jesus, the Spirit, and King David. You know what I mean? So it's like not just Paul writing it, or you're just quoting King David in the Old Testament, but you literally have like Jesus, the Spirit, and King David all in one. So it's like really hard for them to dispute all three of those are wrong. But
Yep.
no one would say a word in reply, and from that day on, no one dared to ask him any more questions. So, I mean that, and I could also look at it in Luke, but it's obviously going to be very similar. But yeah, I mean, when they try to dispute the virgin birth, I mean, how do they deal with verses like this? Not only the verses in the virgin birth specifically, but Christ saying, he's not David's son. He's David called him Lord. So it's like, he's God's son, that's first and foremost. Yeah, he's in the genealogy of David as far as his dad's related to David. So that's how they look at him. But, he's God's son. I mean, he says that he clearly says, I'm the son of God many times. So,
and he's sitting right next to God, like sitting right on the right side. They can't get the concept that the Father is giving rulership over to his son. His son's the heir. He's the heir to the throne, but they can't get that. Like for some reason, which I think it's because of their doctrine. You got to remember, they minimize Christ's role in everything. They maximize Moses' role. So they're saying follow Moses, not Christ. So, I mean, it's a crazy doctrine, but it's what these people are trying to sell.
Yeah, they definitely they I don't know if it's just God like blinding them to the fact that Christ is God with the Father or what, because if you're gonna hate people and wish other people to hell and teach that and slander God's word to everybody you speak to, I'm sure God's not too impressed by that. I know God's not too impressed by a lot of things I've done in my life either, but just in general, what they're doing is not the fast road to pleasing God too, because they're slandering God's word every day when they say, well, God said you're an Edomite, God said women can't wear pants, God said this, God said that, but God didn't say it, and he already said in Ezekiel 13 the consequences of that, where it's like, you won't be listed in the records of Israel, any false prophet,
And when in Matthew's 1, verse 20, where the angel tells Joseph, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost. So by them saying the Holy Ghost is lying,
they're
that's borderline blasphemy.
Yeah, blasphemizing the Spirit. Here's another good verse I just found today too for in Revelation or just in general when Hebrew Israelites are like, you're supposed to bow to them or whatever. I always had the Revelation 20 chapter 22:10 verse, and I also had right in the Cornelius story, Acts 10:25 and 26, where Cornelius bows to Peter and Peter says, "Get up,"
Yeah, and Peter's one of the apostles too.
Oh yeah, and then in Revelation 22:10, it's an angel telling John to get up. But I also saw in Revelation 19:10 an angel saying for John to get up again. So at first I thought I was confused because I just ordered a ESV Bible that I got today, and I saw it in chapter 19:10, and I got my Apocrypha book. I was about to
really good for you, Ryan.
Well, I went beyond. I got 54 books, so I don't just have the Apocrypha. I mean, it's called the Apocrypha, the entire canon. So I got like every Apocrypha book that was ever written, essentially, except for like the Gospel of Thomas or really radical ones, because Thomas I know speaks crazy blasphemy. But I got.
Do you have the book of Jasher?
Yeah, I got it upstairs.
That's a good read.
I'm interested to read it. This is a huge book, man. It's 750 pages, and it's like a big college textbook. So It's
Mm.
it's huge. I mean, I'm not going to get through it for a long time, but yeah, I wanted to get it when I was doing the research on the biblical time frame, and I realized there is a 450-year gap from the last prophet Malachi until the time of Jesus, and I know the Apocrypha does cover those time frames as far as some of the Apocrypha. Obviously, not all of it, because Enoch and all that stuff has nothing to do with that time frame, but some of the books of the Apocrypha do cover that time frame. But I also learned just on page 1 of reading my book that even in the 1611 King James Bible that has the Apocrypha included, it's specifically denoted as Apocrypha. So it's like they can't even claim that they know that, like, it's clear that it's not scripture. You know what I mean? Like, even in the 1611 King
Yep.
James Bible, it's said it's like separated as Apocrypha.
Yep.
So how
Yep.
do you just pull it out and claim it's scripture? I mean, it's bizarre to me. They'll believe that scripture, but then they won't believe the scripture that actually talks about the virgin birth. You know, like they'll pull out some apocrypha and scream it's scripture, but then they won't even believe the actual scripture on the virgin birth. They'll say no, that's lying. But
Yeah. Well, they take what benefits them. Even in the Apocrypha shows salvation for everybody. In numerous um parts of the Apocrypha, but they'll take that too. There's a part of the Apocrypha where God calls Esau his servant,
mm,
and God uses Esau for something, and they'll say that that's a typo, that's not the real Esau. So
yeah,
it's good to learn what books they use, which is something weird with Rabbi Lewis because he tends to go like out of the Bible into like different encyclopedias, and most camps stay Old Testament, New Testament, and the Apocrypha. So if you can get a good grasp on those, then you'll be fine.
yeah. Revelation 19:10 is another example though of not bowing. Because it says, "At this I fell at his feet to worship him, but he said to me, 'Don't do that. I am a fellow servant with you and with your brothers and and sisters who hold to the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for it is the spirit of prophecy who bears testimony to Jesus.'" So
Hmm.
we got Revelation 19:10, and then Revelation 22:8, and then
Act,
also Acts 10:25 with Peter 10:25 and 20.
yep. Well, yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect there, man.
Yeah, those
I'll
are
tell you
three
this, Rodney.
examples when they try to act like, because they like to go to that Revelation 2:9 or 3:9,
Yeah, like two,
where
three,
in the King
something like that.
James it says, Christ told somebody to worship an angel. And then when you go to every other translation, it says bow down, because there's a big difference there. And I don't see how Christ would ever be telling anybody to worship anyone but God. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
so that's one, because I remember with Sons of Thunder, when they went there, I was shocked by it, because I was like, whoa, that really says
Yep.
that in King James? But I hadn't looked at it in other translations, so I was caught off guard by that. And
Hmm.
that's what made
And
me.
and that's little tricks. That's little tricks those camps use, knowing that a person might not have looked in other translations, and they do little sly stuff like that. What they need to start accepting is when Christ returns, he's going to be God, and they need to start respecting that. But
Well, Danielle all did that with me too when he's like, Christ got hung on a tree line. He said, didn't you ever read the verse that said Christ was hung on a tree? And he tried to act like that meant that he got hung, like blacks
yeah,
got hung in slavery. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, there's no Bible verse that said Christ got hung on a tree. Because
yeah,
I
there's a verse there.
IV, but then when you read the KJV, you
Mhm.
realize, that does exist in Acts. But then when you realize there's only, when you Google it, 7,000 to 10,000 words in Hebrew, that's why Paul, tree is just talking about a piece of wood, the cross.
Mhm. Got you. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But
And,
it did
and
blow my mind when I Googled it and I saw that. I was like, whoa. But then you know how disingenuous he is. I was trying to get him to answer. I was like, okay, so it says hung on a tree. Does that's just describing him hung on the cross, crucified? Because I showed him all the crucified verses that are still
Good
in the
one.
King James. You know, I was like, right after he showed me that, I went to all the crucifixion verses in the King James, and you know how crazy, like he just wouldn't even. I hate dealing with him because he just, you know, he wouldn't answer. He wouldn't answer because he said, "Oh yeah, see, Christ died just like his future ancestors, you know,
You
hung
see?
on a
You
tree."
see?
And I was like,
They-
"Okay, so are you trying to say he got hung by a rope on a tree?" And that's when he just like wouldn't answer and just
yeah,
beyond,
because Christ
beyond,
got
yeah,
crucified.
yeah. Because
Christ
and then when
wasn't
you
hung
showed him,
by a noose. He was
yeah,
crucified.
he wouldn't even read the crucified verses. When I showed him the crucified verses, I was like, "Okay, read this verse, read that verse." So he
But
really pissed me off that day. I can't
that's
lie.
a perfect example of them using one verse, taking it out of context, and
Yeah.
building a false narrative. That's
Yeah,
all those people do.
crazy narrative to try to argue Christ got hung on a tree like black people in America. I mean,
Yeah.
that was just beyond, but just bizarre. But that, you know, now if you ask him about it, say, "Oh, I never said that. I never said that." But yeah, he did say that. He said died on a, you know, died just like his ancestors. And then when I tried to get him to answer, "Are you saying he got hung with a rope on a tree?" Just played stupid games and wouldn't answer.
Yeah,
And just,
because you know why? Because he remembered the crucifixion verse.
well,
So if
I showed them all to him. I went right to him and I showed him in every gospel. It says, "See, crucified." It's titled crucified. It says crucified in the verses. I
Mhm.
showed him to him, and yeah, so it was whatever. But yeah,
That's
that's the
how it is.
frustrating part, man. That I saw Sons of Thunder do it the other day too. With they were dealing with a black guy who was a Jehovah Witness, and they tried to make God a racist, and it said, you know, look, the word race is in this verse. And what they did is they went to the ESV, the English Standard Version, to read a verse where they said a race for Israel instead of using the King James that they swear by, you know, where it doesn't have the word race in it. So like that's the same with when Lewis goes to the NLT or something. It's like, you
Mhm.
know, if you're gonna use a translation only when it fits your narrative, then you're just being disingenuous, you know?
You're being disingenuous. But Ryan, my phone has 1%.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap
Um,
up anyways. I don't feel like
but
talking.
listen, it was a beautiful build. Once again, it was an awesome show, and we'll tune in next show, Ryan.
Yeah, we'll aim for tomorrow. Thanks for coming on, Jesse. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome, Ryan. Have a blessed night, and thank you.
You too. You too.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up, people. I don't want to, you know, stay on by myself and get into this presentation because we're about 3 hours into this show. I'm sorry we didn't get into the, you know, judges topic again. You know, hopefully tomorrow, you know, when Rabbi Lewis or whomever comes on, we kind of get sidetracked sometimes. Thanks, Jerry. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry it wasn't the most, you know, edifying as far as information. You know, again, we kind of got sucked into the whole Hebrew Israelite argument with Rabbi Lewis, which is not, you know, what I'm trying to do all the time, but for whatever reason, that's where he wants to go every night instead of just breaking down the scriptures with us. So hopefully, if he does come on, you know, next show, he'll just be willing to go through the judges with us and break them down. But yeah, we're gonna try to get into the judges next show. Thank you to everybody that watched. Thank you for Sherry, J Man, David, Jessica, everybody, Lynn, Tracy, everybody that watched, everybody that comes into the chat and comes onto the panel, Jesse and Rabbi Lewis, Diane also, sorry. Pam also, sorry. I don't want to forget anybody's name, so I shouldn't really be listing names because I don't want to forget anybody's name. Um, I think Troy Taylor watched earlier too. So yeah, thank you for Troy coming by. Thank you for everybody that watched, everybody that came on the panel. Again, I'll make sure I get to the 12 judges next show because Rabbi Lewis definitely has a way of distracting what I'm, you know, trying to get into and getting into the Hebrew Israelite, you know, versus Christian debate, uh, you know, every time he comes on. So I will make sure I get into the 12 judges next show. And besides that, I hope everybody has a blessed day. God bless, and take care of yourselves. And we'll try to do this probably tomorrow night. So have a good one, and thank you for coming by.